Hello, son. What took you so long to call? Hi, Mom. This is Jimbo.
All right. We got Liegh in the house with me today.
Hi.
How you doing today, Liegh?
What is it, a subpoena? You really liked it, huh?
Yes.
You know, Mars? You know what he's about?
Love, 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 love.
Since I was talking about these last week, and actually I wear these every day. These are I wear these every day. I got my first pair in '87, and I've had a continuous pair from 1987 to now. So I wear these every day. So people wondering if they still out there, if you can still get them, you know, if you can sing and dance. But yeah. I saw y'all mention these last week. I said, let me show up with these, and I'm gonna wear them until I get tired of seeing Prof Duff in the silhouette. So back to Prof Duff, and let me just enjoy the silhouette.
Thank you. And we got to give a very special shout out to Liegh Christian, who was 2.5 hours early just so they could be first in the chat. So Liegh Christian is first in the chat this week. We got Anna B, a purple praise on an overcast day. It's actually very sunny in New York. And one of the reasons why I have on this yellow shirt, it's a fishbone shirt, but I'll talk about why I'm wearing a fishbone shirt later today. And we have Vincente Peoples, purple love from Los Angeles. So much love, prayers to all of you out in LA. Even if you weren't affected, I'm sure you have family and friends. Thank you so much for being here. And we have Lori Johnson. We have April Watson from Tampa. And I love the Red Cat Upright Up Rock. You can say that, Liegh. I'm not going to say that.
Red Cat Up Rock.
Yes. And then we have Drea Dances. Yeah, we can't compete with Liegh Christian this morning. We got Chad Martin from Minneapolis. Always great to have you here. We got Andre Staley. What up, though? So guess what, Andre? I went to see Mohini Day, one of my favorite bass players, at the Blue Note on Monday. And we had a gentleman who sat next to us who had traveled all the way from Detroit. And I, because of you, had the proper greeting. And I said, what up, though? And he chuckled. So
now, hold on to that, because bro, I got to give Brother Andre his props with the what up, though. I always thought that was a Mississippi thing. I didn't know that people not in Mississippi said what up, though. So I guess what up, though, is what it was, organic to Black hoods, I guess. I don't know.
It was migraine, Liegh. It was migraine.
There you go. There you go. That Exodus.
Yes. And let's see. Liegh Christian said, I got here so early, I decided to sort out my record collection and got very distracted. That's all right. I need to sort out my record collection. That's I need to follow your lead, Liegh. And then we have, let's see, Christina, also from Minneapolis. So we got Chad and Christina from Minneapolis. Always love to see my Minneapolis peeps on here. And we got our timekeeper. Yay. We got a timekeeper here today.
I think Kim gave up on y'all last week. She said, I'm out. I ain't got time for this. Kim finally just threw in the towel last week.
Yes. And we have Nick Felden from Denver, and we have Audrey Reynolds from the ATL, one of our ATLians. We have Stone Freak. We've missed you, Stone Freak. Thank you so much for being here. We got Monk. We got Duke Swan. We got Chris Bournay, and we got Sister Charles. Thank you so much again for all that Right On Magazine love. And speaking of which, I put in last week's accompanying playlist an interview with Cynthia Horner from 8485 about
85.
Yeah. So
let me just give props to Cynthia Horner. Let me start by saying I'm a happily married man. I've been with the same woman since 1991. I want to make it clear. I'm a happily married man. But all I've ever known is older Cynthia Horner. I had not seen 1985 Cynthia Horner. I just want to say that had I known 1985 Cynthia Horner, well, let's just move on. Let's just move on. But prop and shout out to 1985 Cynthia Horner. Let's move on. We're
going to move on, Liegh, because We don't want you to get in trouble.
That's
So
right.
we got TP in the house, and we got Chip and Sparrow. It's so great to have you here live as always. Chip and Sparrow, who is in Japan, and we have Theo. Welcome. And oh my goodness, this is so crazy. So Stone Freaks Band, Heavy Mojo, toured with Fishbone. I'm sure the stories you can tell. Oh my goodness, I did not know that. You learn something new every single day. Ricky's in the house saying that they're going to join us later. And hopefully we'll have a special guest who will be joining us with Ricky. And I can't wait for that. And then we have Vinny. Hello, I love your avatar. Seems like you're into either swordplay or you're into like samurai films or something like that. And we got LTK. Always great to have you here. We have Ronald Dagley Jr. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Yes. Fishbone is definitely one of the best bands ever, bar none. I'm with you on that. And Anna B says that, see, Liegh, the glasses are becoming. You look like Prince.
Thank you so much, Anna Lee. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
And we got Lady Cab Driver, a sleepy one. And thank you. I thought you loved that story, Andre. He was super cool. And I couldn't believe he drove all the way, or I don't know how he transported from Detroit to New York to see that show. So I knew that he was a music lover. So I really enjoyed talking to him. And then we have Kumo42. We have JD Washington. Thank you so much. I hope that everyone is well on your end. And then we have Purple Cat Confetti. And Ricky wants to know, where do you get those glasses?
Brother Wyatt, I got my first pair of round rim glasses in '87. And I got them through mail order, believe it or not. You remember back in the day when you still had mail order before Amazon and all that. And then from then on, I just kept a pair. So I've had a continuous pair since 1987. Then I think I got my second pair, and believe it or not, in Greenwich Village. I just realized I got my second pair in Greenwich Village in 1990. And then I got, I wish I'd have got them from Wally. And then I kept those, had a couple pair. And then when eBay hit big, I got about 8 pair from eBay. And so I've had ever since then. I used to be an eBay, believe it or not, I used to be an eBay fiend. So from 87 to now, I've had a pair. And I stopped wearing them for a short time. And then I remember, maybe about 20 years ago, I started back wearing them. And I remember I was walking down the hall, and I remember some college student like, Mr. McInnis got them big ass glasses on, and I was like, you just ain't cool enough to wear these. Now, shut up before I give you a D. Let's move on. So, all right, that's it. Back to the show.
And I love that Raywin is reminding us that Prince has been nominated for a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammys tomorrow. I actually presenting, and then obviously we have Duane and the Diamonds and Pearls deluxe box set that's up for a Grammy. So we hope that is a winner, but if not, it's a winner to us.
That's right. Well, he nominated y'all nominated.
Yeah,
have to be nominated. Do you know how many people put out product and are never nominated?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said it. Let's be really clear. Props to the estate. Props to Brother Tudahl. Props to everybody involved. Prof. Duff and all the writers and everybody, because that's a big deal. We can hate on the Grammys and American movie. We can say all that we want. Let's be really, really clear. That's a big deal, major for the estate, and we should pack the estate and everybody on with more to come. So we thank the estate, and we thank you, Prof. Duff and Brother Tudahl, for all y'all did to make this happen.
Yes, and so many other writers like Lisa, and Andrea Swinson, and Jason Draper, and Chuck D. And I'm sure I forgot somebody, but it's not, because I'm doing it on purpose.
And I actually used the Chuck D when my students was making you so petty. But I wanted to show them just how terrible their music was. So I used that one from Chuck D when Chuck D is talking about wasn't nobody in the studio but Prince. And I was like, until your favorite trashy artist can do this, I don't want to hear about your crap artist. Let's move on.
So Chris Bournet, you're schooling me. So I don't really keep up with the Grammys anymore. One, because I don't have regular TV. But I just assumed that this Lifetime Achievement Award would have been during the main broadcast, but it's actually in a separate ceremony today. Okay.
Yeah, which means they will then, sometimes they transpose them into the main broadcast and sometimes they don't. That's what a lot of people had to do for like the 2-day awards. So you may get an award the first day that's not televised, but then they'll air it during the one that they air on television sometimes, not all the time.
Okay. All right. And then Chad was asking about Michael Dean. Michael Dean is not going to be joining us due to family matters. I want to respect, like nothing. Michael's good, but he's not going to be here. So hopefully he'll be back with us next week. But I miss Michael just as much as you do.
We all miss Brother Dean.
Yes.
And we've said this to his face, but Brother Dean is one of the intellectually swiftest dudes. I mean, talk about thinking on your feet and being funny and intellectual simultaneously on your feet. He's one of the swiftest intellectual people I've ever met. So props to Brother Dean. We miss you, and we can't wait till you come back next week, brother.
Yep. It's not the same. All right, so let's get our housekeeping because we're actually going. We have a lot to talk about this week because something is happening this week in 1985 that is extremely important to Prince. So thank you so much, Tanja, for sending that Omar set list. I can't wait to read it because I want to know what he played in Virginia. All right, so week 5 of What Did Prince Do This Week? Every Saturday, we gather to have a very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions book series through an interactive weekly online book club and Saturday salon, echoing the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance. And I've actually I need to include a slide that talks about the paperback versus the hardcover, but Celia and I, we were rocking the paperback, and you know that because of the circle. And then if you have the hardback, you don't have that circle. So again, Duane said that there's 50 more pages and some corrections in the paperback, and I still need to correct the reading schedule on our website. So just be aware of that. So in addition to a very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions book series, we also have Harlem Renaissance Saturday Salon. So just, I need to stop singing. People always comment negatively on YouTube when I sing, but
really?
Yeah, they do a lot. But it's
those people are stupid. Let's move on. Those people are stupid. Don't even address that. They're stupid. Let's move on.
We're going to move on. So what did Prince do this week? We're going week to week, not date to date. And again, one day you'll figure that out if you haven't figured it out yet. And you can follow the detailed schedule at this QR code or bit.ly link. Again, right now it's based on the hardcover book, so I got to switch it to the paperback. And then these will be archived at Polished Solid as well as at MDean. Please subscribe, like, and help spread the word because of Prince's work ethic. The reason why I'm doing this is to remind myself when I'm complaining about how much work I got to do, I didn't work as hard as Prince. So I hope that you will do that. And let people know that it wasn't magic. Prince put in the work. He worked it like a job. All right.
And I want to challenge everybody in the chat who's watching this live and everybody who watches the recording. Every week, make it your attempt to share the show with 5 people. I think it's really important because we're telling this story. You guys in the chat are telling the story, and we're all the people who either lived it or know it or came along and you became fans at a certain time. And somebody said something. I was at a documentary screening, and somebody said something, and I'm almost sure, Prof. Duff, you're gonna like this because I never heard this quote before. They were asking, "Why do you do documentaries and why do you tell your story?" And the person said, "Either you tell your own story, or somebody will lie on you about it." Mm-hmm. So either we tell the truth about Prince, or somebody will lie about it. So I'm giving everybody homework every week. Share the show with at least 5 people. Those of y'all who are on the social media, you're on Instagram, you're on X, you're on all these different places. Make sure that you are when you posting that meal you ate, that little photograph of that meal you ate, because y'all doing that. I don't know why y'all do that. Showing everybody what y'all eating. Make sure that you post in this show. All right, I set up.
So I think this is funny, but I understand Liegh. So Liegh says, I really try, but some people might think that reading is a requirement and that scares them off. I can believe that. I really can believe that. And as you know, you don't have to read, but it actually, I think, is more enriching when you do read. And we got a time check from our time.
We sorry, Kim. Sorry about that. And Liegh Christian to your point, something like, read? No, hell no. I'm going to go over here where they just playing Prince videos. They talking about some reading over there.
Yes. I know it's a big turnoff for some people, but and also, see, Liegh, I found out recently, I was on some social media site and people got in a fight about the word nerd. I've always loved the word nerd. I consider myself a purple nerd. I say that with love. I don't think it's negative, but some people think it's negative. But this show is really for the purple nerds. Is what this is for. And if you want me to define what a nerd is someone who wants to take deep sub basement below dives into Prince. So that's
and also, if you don't come, you're gonna miss all the wonderful stuff in the chat. Because as Brother Turnbull has said, the chat is his own superstar. Yeah. We appreciate the chat because y'all be bringing it, man. Like we love, like we said, we love that Prof Duff has created this space. We love that Brother Tudahl has done this work. We love that Brother Dean and Brother Rick. Come on, but the chat, man. Y'all every week some get put in the chat. You know, I've been down since 7-8. I'm gonna go and put it out. I've been down since 7-8. You know, one of them people saw Prince live before Purple Rain, but it never amazes me that every week in the chat somebody puts something in that blows our mind. So yes, if for those of you who worried that you gotta read, just come hang out in the chat because I promise you the chat will give you something that will blow your purple mind. All right, I'll shut up.
All right, so we're going to keep it moving before we get another time check from Kim. So this is our hashtag WDPDTW for Why Do People Dance This Weird? Also known as What Did Prince Do This Week? And the
all right, that's enough of that.
Okay. Oh my God. I love Built for Speed says, I've been a purple nerd since 1979. We got a lot of purple nerds in here. Thank you so much for embracing that word. I think it's a beautiful term. All right. And if you want to send us anything, particularly tickets or photos, especially photos like from the crowd, or if you took any pictures of Prince on the stage from the Purple Rain Tour, we want to hear from you. And you can send it to wdpdtw@gmail.com. And that's one reason why I keep saying WDPDTW, so you'll know what email to send things to. And if you saw the Purple Rain Tour, you want to come on and talk with us, email us at that WDPDTW. We'd love to have you. And hopefully we'll have someone today talking about the New Orleans show. And for those of you who are interested, we're going to be going back to Birmingham next week for the 4 p.m. Remember, the 4 p.m. afternoon show in Birmingham, as well as another Memphis, Tennessee show. And we got D68A. What up, Purple and Nerds? Okay. And then we got Purple Geek. And I love this, Theo, Purple Nerds since 2018. That's what I'm talking about.
There you go, brother. There you go.
That's right. And the chat is lit. Okay, Theo, and I know that Mila is here as well. Please let us know. I don't think lit is still a proper term. Is that out of the lexicon nowadays? So
I think that I'm on a lot of Jackson State chats, and so people still using lit. They still
they still use lit. Okay.
Yeah. They are preferring it as lit and fire right now. Lit and fire is battling out to see which one was gonna last. So things are either lit or they fire, right? You get a lot of fire emojis. So lit and fire right now, battling it out for what's going to be the thing that we putting on. So
yes,
there you go, brother. Sister Zakia. What the kids is saying, what them kids be saying. There you go.
Yes, this is an intergenerational forum, and I love this. And fire.
See,
that's right. Or Liddy. Yep, that's right. All right, we're going to keep it moving again because we got a lot to talk about. And I got to give special thanks to Mark Tigner for sending us that January 11th missing ticket from Houston, Texas. I have forwarded on to princevault.com So I'm sure they will put it up shortly. And go ahead.
To some with Houston, something Brother Wyatt said that I had noticed, that Prince was always on tour during the winter. And the way you know that Prince was always on tour during the winter, the bootleg for 80 for the 80 the controversy tour in Houston and the 1999 tour in Houston. In both of those bootlegs, he opens the show by saying "Merry Christmas, Houston." So I always think about the Houston bootleg, or even when it's that, because I don't celebrate holidays or birthdays, but whenever it gets time of the year, I know that's strange, but the one thing I associate with Christmas is Prince being in Houston saying "Merry Christmas, Houston." So yeah, that ticket made me think about Prince was always. And as I told y'all before, I spent New Year's Eve with Prince in Houston '97 in the Compact Dome, which was one of the greatest moments of my life. All right, let's move on.
All right. Okay. And also, Mark is actually a musician, so he shared a video with some Prince covers. So I put it in the accompanying playlist. So thank you again, Mark Tickner, for giving us this missing ticket. All right. So everyone should know, but in case you don't, this is an independent endeavor. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. And at the top of the hour, we played our amazing Madhouse 8, 5 from Madhouse 8, because this is week 5. But for those of you who may not know what Madhouse is, it is essentially Prince on everything but the horns and the flute, which is Eric Liegh. And all right, so we are again at week 5 of 1985 of What Did Prince Do This Week? What We Know, thanks Anil. And this is our 108th episode. And this week in 1985, Prince did 3 live shows, 1 song, and 2 studio sessions, as well as 1 pretty major live appearance that we're going to get into. And the reason why, see, Liegh might have on his glasses, in addition to last week. So this week, we're going to talk about the American Music Awards, a pretty iconic performance of Purple Rain. In fact, Arthur Turnbull says that it is his favorite performance of Purple Rain ever. And that's saying a lot. And for those of you who saw it in real time, just to jog your memory, but we're going to have photos later, it's when he's in that amazing long green metallic ensemble that Lewis and Vaughn designed. So can't wait.
Should I tell my AMA Purple Rain story now? Wait till we get to, how far is it down the low?
It's not that far.
All right, I'll wait till we get there.
Yeah, we'll wait till we get there. And then let's see. Then 2 nights at the University of Texas at Austin. And then after one of those nights, there's a 7-inch edit of She's Always in My Hair. And then we are moving on to February. And on Friday, there's a New Orleans show on February 1st. And then on both Friday and Saturday, first of all, for the Tears in Your Eyes is the basic tracking for that. And we all should know that ended up on the We Are the World soundtrack. And if you saw the We Are the World documentary, I'm really salty because they never mentioned this song, not once. It's like Prince didn't do anything.
Right.
The whole I was like, really? And don't get me started on not being in the credits about the people who have passed. And yes, Kim, I don't think anybody will forget that green suit. It was so majestic. It was so beautiful. And I love Tanja said, I sat with my Granny and watched the performance. That's what I'm talking about. Your grandmother had really good taste. Your grandma is dynamite. And you'll understand why I'm saying that later if you stay that long to the end. So I'm going to start off with some reading. There are about 3 articles I really want to read really quickly that we didn't get to last week. And this is about the Cincinnati show. It's in a newspaper called Avant Guardian, but I don't know if it's misspelled because you can see it in the at the top there. And I couldn't find out what city this is. I'm assuming it's Cincinnati, but I could be totally wrong. So if anybody has any information about this particular newspaper, I really love to hear from you. And this is from Friday, January 25th, 1985 by Burton Glass. And the title is Prince Show features trademark eroticism, energy, and fun. I went to Prince's third and final concert in Cincinnati on Wednesday with admittedly more than one reservation. I was afraid an atmosphere of kids with tag-along parents and screaming women and lusts would soak the Coliseum to distraction. And word of Prince's feigned sexual tilt in his performances had smacked to me of a crutch for lack of depth and talent. And I heard the show even fell short of the standard hour and a half length. Wrong. Prince and the Revolution could scarcely have disappointed a single fan that evening. Sure, there were girls crying at his every groan and gesture, and Prince teasing them with provocative, nay, nasty come-ons. Yes, there was an occasional dad braving the elements, but my masculinity remained intact above the depravity, and Dad even danced to Delirious. All the performers gave everything they had for the 2-hour plus duration. It was a rare evening for the concert scene in Cincinnati. Sheila E. opened the festivities and quickly did everything in her power to steal all the thunder she could from the main attraction. The band extended her current single, Bella St. Mark, to the point of raucous exhaustion and thrilled the crowd with her solo version of her and Prince's duet, Erotic City. In reading this, Liegh, it always disappointed me that they never sung Erotic City together, it seems a lot. It seems like they would have, either Prince would have come out during Sheila's set, or they would have just had it in Prince's set, and they would have done, like, Erotic City.
That was my biggest disappointment of the VHS of the Sheila E. Live show. And it was San Francisco, right?
Yep.
That to me would have been the greatest. So I'm with you. I just ditto what you said, that I've always we didn't get it in real time. And I think I don't like to talk a lot about what Prince missed. Prince did what Prince did and was usually great. But I think that we never got Prince and Sheila singing Erotic City in real time in 85. So I'm with you. I was always disappointed with that.
But my husband just sent me a note and said that Prince sang with her several times from backstage. But I was really meaning like being on stage together, right, and having that be like a recurring
right
thing in the set, like a set.
Right. And that's one of the things I think was missed in all of the interviews we did get with Prince. I think that's some of the deep dives we didn't get, was people talking about. I always wondered about song choices in live performances, right? I always wonder what goes into. I know for me, being a poet and having to do poetry readings, or even sometimes I'll read excerpts from my short stories, and what goes into what choices you make. And I know there are a lot of performers in the chat, Liegh Christian and so many other great, we had Chris Robb, we got Brother Wyatt. And so I'm always interested in how people choose what they're going to do. So I would have loved an interviewer, a reporter. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I think Prince, being one of the greatest live performers, gets slept on, because I don't think enough journalists actually focused on it when they got an opportunity to interview him.
Yeah.
And so I think we missed that. So yeah, I would have loved to have Prince discuss, because as we all know, by his third or fourth tour, he has this great body of work. And Prince is one of those rare artists that he could thrill you for 2 hours and you still would go, he didn't play such and such. And it wasn't so much of it was missed as just what we're into. Why didn't he do that song? Along with knowing all the great live versions and different live versions. So I'm with you on that I think that was a really missed opportunity. If we can say that was a missed opportunity in Prince's career. I'll shut up.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to the Omar list that Tanja's sent me, because he had been changing I know he changed the set from Atlanta to New York. So it'd be interesting to see. And it's something that, again, being a nerd, those are the kinds of things that I'm interested in. And I would have loved if someone would have done a deep dive with Prince on like what went into that, especially as his body of work just kept growing and growing and growing and growing over the years, for sure.
And I don't forget Brother Law too, because I always want to because Brother Law I don't want to get Brother Law and Chris. And the whole thing, like you get a Chris Robb show and a Brother Law show, they both do Prince tributes, both completely different, right? And so to talk, maybe we'll do that when we have Chris Robb and Brother Law on and talk about how they go through the choices when they're doing the Prince tribute show of what songs to do and what songs not to. I will say, just as as a nod. And thank you, Kim. We sorry about that, Sister Kim. That I will say that in my life, and I'm sure Prince, I don't know if Prince had this, but in my life, when I'm doing an actual featured reading, that's something going to be 15 to 30 minutes. Monica, my wife, is always in my ear. Read the hits, player. Don't nobody want them experimental poems. Like, so I don't know if that's anybody, but Monica is really, she's really like, there are 2 or 3 poems that I know that have been published a lot and people like, but I always want to do more. And she's like really clear. Hey, player, don't get up that stage without reading such and such. So anyway, so all of that goes into Prince's mind. And then you get to the Nude tour, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Nude tour was the first greatest hits tour.
Yes, that's what most people dub it.
Yeah.
So what I find really interesting, and I love this comment from Tanja, especially because Prince didn't have a musical director like in the beginning. Like sometimes he would have like I would say like an assistant MD, because like when Prince wasn't there, definitely during the Love Sexy rehearsals, Sheila E. would take over and things of that nature. And
then with the Levi, right?
Yeah, and then then Levi, and then also Morris Hayes, with
Hayes
and all that. So that's one thing. But let's see, what's D68A saying? Strange didn't appear that much with Sheila in the 84-85 support act prior to his main. He did a lot of tours after GCS, Shaka, Sharon Jones. I think it's because he had so much going on. I mean, there was a lot going on in 84, in particular, like with the film and all these singles and the multiple albums and all of that. I think, yeah, for sure. But, what I find interesting, that your comment is that when Outkast played Coachella the first time, and they kind of had like a rough start, Prince actually called Andre and basically said, you got to make them remember who you are, by, playing what they love. And I think that's interesting. But at the same time, right now, during 1985 and 84, he's getting a lot of flack for not playing songs from the previous albums. And to be honest, because, so 1999 was my first show. And then Purple Rain, I was sort of used to the album being the focus of the concert because I didn't know any different because I was young and I just assumed that's what people do. So I generally don't like greatest hits. And Al Green is notorious for this. Like Al Green not only is like a greatest hits, but he only plays like a minute or minute and a half. And you're about to get into the song and then he doesn't want to sing it. Like he wants the audience to sing it. And I go, oh my God. But Kim is going to kill us. So we're going to keep reading this article really quickly. The band's performance was tight and obviously well-rehearsed. Members danced in perfect unison during each song, and Sheila's voice, unlike many live performers, was better than Memorex. I love that. And people should know what Memorex is. If you don't, do your Googles.
Is it live? Is it Memorex? How keep on?
Yes. After her, and I love that commercial. Okay. After her encore with The Glamorous Life, the crowd was sufficiently impressed to spare the usual Queen City boo bird treatment of opening acts and offered the well-deserved kudos. Prince arrived in style and grace and exploded with an electric rendition of Let's Go Crazy. Even early on, I could see the show would rely heavily on images from the movie Purple Rain and Prince's MTV videos from the familiar movements and costumes used in the opener. Little Red Corvette soon after had the same ring of Martha Quinn familiarity. I can't say that word, but everybody should know who Martha Quinn is. But if you don't, do your Googles. The 3 soul red spotlights on the stage as Prince jiggled and jaunted in his purple overcoat. His When Doves Cry at the end of the set had the same look with the kid descending a spiral staircase decked in his veiled purple topper and white lace outfit. Was I watching cable? If the images were stolen liberally from his pre-recorded video reels, the intensity of each song was pure live. During the encore featuring I Would Die For You, a true jam session ensued, rivaling a Springsteen encore. And this is saying a lot in context of 85. And by the time the medley had broken to Baby I'm a Star, Sheila E. and her band had joined the revolution in what has turned into a party spectacle on stage, unlike, say, a Cars show. I don't know if anybody remember the Cars, but I actually love the Cars.
Who gonna drive you home? Tonight. Okay, let's move on.
This was no studio walkthrough. The concert slowed perhaps at only one point, but it was still entertaining. Prince lapsed into his sexual play acting, seeming to circle around his own conflict between his eccentric religious beliefs about God and an assumed perversion of his own. The crowd mainstream just sat in awe as the light show spun out of control and voices from all corners of the Coliseum screamed stuff about Jesus, sexual positions, and how confused Prince was about the whole thing. Evidently, Prince came to the conclusion that naughtiness isn't all that bad, as he then proceeded to squirm through Computer Blue, Wendy, Is the Water Warm? Yes, Lisa. Obviously, they don't know that. That's what they wrote. They don't know the actual lyrics, but that's okay. And Darling Nikki. Obviously, the kid has determined that making love to a 1,000,000 megawatt speaker is within the boundaries of the proper piety. Well, anyway, it was fun. Prince and the Revolution ended the show with Purple Rain, and the final selection brought the crowd drained down triumphantly. Cincinnati could only hope that the dancing, the sex, the ego, and the music would soon pay another visit. So I really love this review. And again, I wanted to read this last week, but we didn't have time. So there's another article I want to read, and I apologize for this back-to-back. But these are some really good articles. And again, I wanted to read this.
The commercial appeal.
Yes. Talk to us about the commercial appeal real quick.
So for those of y'all who don't know, the commercial appeal was not just a newspaper out of Memphis. It was actually a really kind of big newspaper throughout the Southwest. So it was distributed in Memphis and then throughout most of North Mississippi and a lot of North Alabama. I grew up reading the commercial appeal. I grew up in Clarksville, Mississippi, which is 40 minutes from Memphis. And so my two biggest Memphis memories are the commercial appeal and Beale Street. And then I'll talk a little bit about the Purple Rain tour in Memphis when we get to the American Music Award. But the commercial appeal was for the longest one of the number one ways people got their news and their information. And the commercial appeal was really, interestingly enough, really good to Prince. If you didn't live in Memphis and you lived in northern Mississippi and northern Alabama, you got a lot of information on this tour through the commercial appeal. And just as an aside, it had one of the biggest Sunday editions of local newspapers that were distributed nationally. As a child, I love reading their comic strip section, which on Sunday blossomed to about 7 pages. So shout out to the commercial appeal and everything they did to keep people in the Southwest area informed. That's it. I'll shut up.
Awesome. I love that additional context. Okay, here we go. This is by Pearl Washington. Don't meet a lot of pearls these days, so I love that name.
They ain't making no more pearls.
They're not making no more pearls. And the caption for the photo is Prince performs at first of 3 sold-out shows at Mid-South Coliseum. A purple stroke of luck passed through Memphis last night. In its wake were a college professor, 2 dentists, and a dental assistant, 3 teenagers from South Haven, and a man known only as Terry. All of them got to see Prince free in his first of 3 sold-out performances at the Mid-South Coliseum, all because they were in the right places at different times. Jerry McGlone, 37, teaches in the English department at Lemoyne-Owen College. While McGlone was in Connecticut last summer, he met the road manager for the Purple Rain tour. When the manager came to Memphis, and the road manager is, everyone should know, Alan Leeds. When the manager came to Memphis, he brought 4 complimentary tickets, which McGlone shared with date Betsy Eccles and 2 other friends. And this is McGlone. I liked Purple Rain, the movie, and When Doves Cry, and I let my English students listen to it for its poetic metaphors. When Nancy Harris was visiting Graceland with her mother Thursday, she met 2 band members from the tour. When the band members asked, she told them she had no tickets, and they promised to leave 3 for her at the ticket booth. So it seems like 2 band members, 2 of the Revolution, were hanging out at Graceland, and Graceland is my mom's favorite place to go visit. So.
Me and your mama. I used to make my mama take me to Graceland when I was 7, 8 years old. She was so embarrassed as a black woman taking her child to Elvis Presley's house. Like, when I tell you this black woman was embarrassed that her child, her 8-year-old, 9-year-old child was the Elvis Presley fan, she wanted to stay in the car and hide her face, but she couldn't leave her 8-year-old son around all the people. So I love me and your mama got to get together, propped up, and go back to Graceland because this is a great. I don't care what y'all say. You got to go. You got to go to the animal room in Graceland. Got to go.
It's incredible. It's incredible. To be honest, I know you know what, I'm going to keep this to myself, but I will say, and I'll tell you afterwards, Liegh. But I do like this comment from Kim. You got to have a May in your family, because my grandmother's name was Ronnie May. So there you go. All right. So we are going to continue with this amazing article. I love this. Nancy, 16, her best friend Dana Hooten, 15, and 16-year-old Amy Reynolds let go with screams of disbelief when they picked up the tickets at the Coliseum box office. "I can't believe it," Nancy squealed. "They really did leave us tickets." And that was incredibly kind of whoever the two members of the revolution who did that. "I cried because I couldn't afford them," said Dana, "and I cried when I got them." And when the staff at the Peabody told Dr. Lillian Landrigan, who has a 24-hour dental emergency service, that they were sending her a patient several days ago, Dr. Landrigan's assistant, Gwen Surratt, thought it might be somebody important. She wasn't sure, though. By 8 last night, Dr. Landrigan, Mrs. Surratt, and her 7-year-old son, Michael, and Dr. Beverly Hedgepeth, also a dentist, knew the dental patient was important, at least important enough to offer them 4 tickets to the concert. She was an upper echelon member of Prince's court. "I like Prince," Michael said, nodding. "I like the way he sings his songs. I've got his tape, but I can't remember the name of it. And I like Sheila E. But the luckiest stroke of purple might have gone to an obviously ecstatic man named Terry, who happened to be seated close enough when singer Sheila E. invited a man from the audience to come on up." And if you've seen any footage, of that, you know what's going on. After boarding the stage, Terry couldn't resist turning to the mostly purple-clad crowd and with both arms raised, briefly roaring his delight before taking a chair to be serenaded and teased by Prince's drum-playing protege. By then, Michael, the dentist's son, was fast asleep across his seat. So I really loved this article.
So 2 quick points. The professor from Lemoyne Owen, for those of you who don't know, Lemoyne Owen is a college in Memphis. It is at HBCU. And as another little personal tidbit, that is where I actually presented my first academic paper.
No way.
Lemoyne Owens, it was on, I can't remember. The conference had to do with Blackness, and I think it was the schoolhouse to prison pop line and the criminalization of Black people. And I wrote a co-paper with the guy who was then the chair of the history department. And so Lemoyne Owen is where I, with C.D. McInnis, presented his first academic paper. So shout out to Lemoyne Owens in Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. So because of time and we're running short, I am not going to read this next article, but there's this whole article about Prince recording in Cincinnati. So if you're interested in hearing from like the studio, the people who work the studio about how Prince is in the studio, even though I think this is a really important article, but I don't want to read so many in a row, this is the one for you. And it's Prince stays in town an extra 2 days for a recording session. And it's in the Cincinnati Post. And then I'm going to move forward to this, which I think was an interesting article that was sent to me also in the Commercial Appeal. So the Commercial Appeal had coverage when it came to Prince. A respectful Prince parties on Beale Street. Prince's prurient pyrotechnics on stage may prompt audience palpitations, but when he has a party, it's time to get out the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. For those of you who don't know, Good Housekeeping was a magazine, or it might still be a magazine, I'm not sure. Like Would You Believe, educational films, and finger food. The entertainer took a break between sold-out concerts at the Mid-South Coliseum Friday and last night to see the city. The Purple Run and about 125 members of his entourage were at the Old Daisy Theater on Beale Street early yesterday morning for a birthday bash honoring Wendy Melvoin, Prince's guitarist, and her twin sister, Susanna. There wasn't that stereotypical wild roadie rock scene where they're trashing things, said George McDaniel, theater director. What attracted them was the historical character and charm of the theater. I think that speaks well of Memphis and how other people see our musical heritage. From 1 to 4 a.m., the beautiful ones viewed the If Beale Street Could Talk multimedia show and danced, sang happy birthday, and ate at a finger buffet, McDaniel said. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So, a couple of things about that.
Yes.
But you don't know. If Beale Street Could Talk, that's a James Baldwin novel. And it's a James Baldwin novel that they made into a really good movie. One of the very few times that the movie equaled the book. So if you have not read or have not seen If Beale Street Could Talk, the other thing, and this is something I can tell you I know personally, that was at a time when two things. When you could still get good music and good food outside Beale Street. You didn't have to go inside. There was still barbecues, and guys would have barbecue pits. So you had all these great places to go inside on Beale Street, but you could get good barbecue and good music. You could also get cut. You could also get stabbed on Beale Street. So I just want this was before. I think they were just cleaning up Beale Street. Like, it's not that Beale Street was as close to the B.B. King Beale Street. So the Beale Street in 85 was a lot closer to the Beale Street B.B. King hung out on than the Beale Street that exists in Memphis. And I'm not telling you that the Beale Street in Memphis is bad. If you have a chance, please go, because it still celebrates and showcases the beauty of Black culture. And how, for those of you who don't know, Memphis was integral to the blues. The saying is, you got your skill in Clarksdale, you got your fame in Memphis, and you got your money in Chicago. What that means is you learned how to play the blues. You learned how to be a skilled blues man in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Then you went to Memphis, Tennessee, and you got your fame. And then when you got your fame and everybody knew your name, you could go to Chicago. And if you tried to usurp that, they would send word to cut your ass, because they were serious about that. And to give you one last point on that, B.B. King, this is out of B.B. King's mouth. If you've ever seen any of the two B.B. King documentaries, B.B. King talks about he went to Memphis before he was ready and had to go back to Clarksdale. And when he went back to Clarksdale, Prof. Duff, this what blew my mind, he joined a gospel quartet.
Wow.
Because his playing wasn't up to speed. So if you want to know, if people don't understand the circular relationship between gospel and blues, and I would tell people, look up a dude named Thomas Dorsey. You really need to know who Thomas Dorsey is and about blues and R&B. So Beale Street was synonymous and important with the migration of Black culture and the migration of Black music. And I've said it's an honor for me and it who I am today that I would sneak to Beale Street. When I was 16, 17 years old, my mother had no idea I was there. My mother thought I was around the corner at JoJo House. And instead of being around the corner at JoJo House, I was 40 minutes away at Beale Street. And the last thing I'll say is that Richard Wright's novel, Black Boy, the original version of Richard Wright's novel, Black Boy, ends in Beale Street. Now, if you have Black Boy, it actually ends in Chicago. But the reason the original publication of Black Boy ends in Memphis is because when Black Boy was first purchased, the white liberal publishers in New York City did not like the last version, the last section in Chicago, because it showed that there was just as much racism in Chicago as it was in Mississippi. And because the white liberal publishers in New York City did not want a book that said, oh, the racism in Chicago is just the same as in Mississippi, they cut that final section, and that final section was not included for the first 20 so years in Black Boy until it was finally published there. So that's enough for Beale Street. Let's move on.
I really want to read this really amazing quote from LTK. Thank you so much. I love that you absolutely live for these history lessons, as do I. And that's the reason why, again, we have like what we call our Saturday salons. It's, more than just about Prince every week. And so just thank you so much for this comment. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so here we go. American Music Awards 1985. We don't have time to read what Duane has written, so that's why you need to read. So I know some of you don't want to read, but you can read what Duane wrote on pages 34, 36, but we don't have time for that because Kim is cracking. Yes, but what I am going to do instead is read this article from the Star Tribune written by our beloved, at least to me, John Breen, who covered Prince the most, as we all should know. And this was like a two, and I love the spread. First of all, you got Dick Clark, you got Lionel, and you got Prince up there in the top right, and then we got Loretta Lynn in the bottom left, in case you don't know who that is. All right, here we go. Some of his older songs were X-rated. His movie Purple Rain was R-rated, and his current concert tour would merit a PG classification. Now, Prince is going prime time. Tonight on the American Music Awards, 7 p.m., Channel 5 in Minneapolis, the controversial local boy Make Good will give his first performance on prime time television. And by the time, and I guess first performance, he means live performance, because, obviously there was the American Bandstand and some, and then I don't know if, And by the time Prince and the Revolution performed Purple Rain near the end of the program, he could be celebrating the biggest night of what has been a banner year for him. Let's recap the past few months. And I love this recap, especially for those of you who may be joining us for the first time. June 84, When Doves Cry soars to #1 on the pop, black, and dance charts. July, the soundtrack to Purple Rain hits the top of the album charts and sits there for 6 full months. Purple Rain becomes the top grossing movie in the country the weekend it's released. September, Let's Go Crazy reaches #1 on the pop, soul, and dance charts. November, Prince's tour kicks off with 7 sold-out concerts in Detroit. What up, though? Prince is featured on the cover of People magazine. Purple Rain becomes the country's best-selling video cassette. December, the governor of Minnesota declares Prince Days for 5 concerts in St. Paul. And the NAACP names the Minneapolis rock star one of its national image makers. Tonight's awards, however, could well be the pinnacle for Prince. Not only will millions of people see him perform for the first time, but he has a good chance of dominating the evening because he is nominated for more awards, 10, than any other artist. But then again, don't count on it. And this is Dick Clark. I don't know how many of the 10 he's going to win, but it's inevitable that he'll win some. I don't think he'll be disappointed. And Dick Clark is the executive producer of the American Music Awards, and also, everybody should know, American Bandstand. But don't necessarily expect a sweep. Not even Michael Jackson could pull that off last year when Lionel deprived him of 1 award.
Outrageous!
Yes. Prince is nominated for every award for which he was eligible. I'm going to reread that. Prince is nominated for every award for which he was eligible. Favorite male vocalist, male video artist, single, album, and video in both the pop, rock, and black music divisions. Jackson, Lionel, and rocker Bruce Springsteen, a formidable contender himself, are among his competitors. Regardless of how many awards Prince wins, his nominations and top billed appearance on the program underscore how popular the Minneapolis-born and based rock star has become. These awards are essentially the people's choice in music. They were created in 1975 and 1974 by Clark. I got 1985 on the brain. In 1974 by Clark, longtime host American Bandstand and producer of many TV programs ranging from game shows to specials. And this is Dick Clark again. There was no award program on the air that reflected public taste. We had the Oscars, Grammys, Emmys, and Golden Globes at the time. They were all industry awards where one professional says to another that you've done a good job. No one was asking the public, what do you think? This was prior to the People's Choice. It seemed like a good idea. I don't want to get critical of the Grammys because we exist side by side, but to ignore rock for so many years is not right. You find some glaring omissions every now and then when somebody has a huge success and is not recognized in the industry. So Clark lets the public determine the winners of the American Music Awards. Altman Communications Research Incorporated scientifically selects 20,000 record buyers based on age, geographic location, and preference of pop, rock, country, or black music. In November, the voters receive ballots containing 5 to 7 nominees with a space for a write-in in each category who were determined by the year-end charts compiled by Cashbox, a music trade publication. The results are tabulated in late December, and the 3 artists receiving the most votes in each category are announced as finalists. The one who receives the most votes is honored on tonight's live broadcast. This year's program has been expanded to 3 hours from the usual 2 at the request of ABC, according to Clark. Therefore, 9 video categories have been added, and there will be tributes to the late Marvin Gaye and to Loretta Lynn, who will receive the Special Award of Merit. In addition, there will be more live performances than in the past. Among the scheduled performers are Alabama, Hall & Oates, Waylon Jennings, Cyndi Lauper, the Pointer Sisters, Kenny Rogers, Diana Ross, Tina Turner, Stevie Wonder, and Richie, who will also serve as master of ceremonies.
Outrageous!
Among the scheduled award presenters are Ashford and Simpson, the Beach Boys, Laura Branigan, Exile, Corey Hart, Al Jarreau, Quincy Jones, The Judds, Gladys Knight, Huey Lewis, Madonna, Billy Ocean, Rick Springfield, and Jack Wagner. Also appearing will be a few current and former members of Prince's Royal Court, Apollonia, Vanity, Morris Day of the Time, which is nominated for Favorite Black Video Group, and Sheila E., who will perform and hope to win awards for Favorite Black Female Vocalist and Video Performer. Don't forget that Sheila E. also performed at the American Music Awards. The logistics of lining up the stars are nerve-wracking, Clark said. Prince had to postpone a concert in Memphis. Hall & Oates are taking a one-day break from rehearsals to fly to Los Angeles for the show. Culture Club will appear via satellite from London. Ray Parker Jr. and Anne Murray, both finalists for a handful of awards, can't make it because they are appearing in Europe and Canada respectively. And Michael Jackson, who is a finalist in 3 of the 27 categories, is not expected to attend because, well, the night is likely going to belong to someone else this year. All right, so I know that was a long article, but I actually didn't know, to be honest, I actually didn't realize, or I forgot that American Music Awards were really people's choice. I really thought it was more like the Grammys where the professionals actually selected it. So it's actually nice to read about like when it was created, why it was created, and all of that, because I personally didn't have that background.
So a couple of things. Yes, Dick Clark, America's Oldest Teenager. I kind of hate when BET did the series on Don King and Soul Train, and we found out some of the mean stuff that Dick Clark did behind the scenes to Soul Train. So that kind of jaded me a little bit against Dick Clark. But the American Music Awards were always more of a People's Choice Awards. A couple other things. If I'm not mistaken, I think the only live performance that Prince had done before them was Saturday Night Live when he performed Party Up. I think everything else was lip sync. So people can check me on that, check that. And what's really interesting is that Prince getting in 85 a high award from the NAACP, which was traditionally a very conservative organization. This was the same organization that boycotted the film The Color Purple. Now, I want to be clear, they didn't boycott the novel, but they did boycott the film. So that's kind of really interesting to see kind of how all these different parties, like the articles you've been reading about the preachers and all these people. And that's just really interesting that the NAACP in 85 would, gave Prince that award, knowing the history and how conservative the NAACP has always been. And when I'm saying conservative, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I don't want anybody to say that. I'm a member of my local and national NAACP, but that's just really interesting to me that given the height of his controversy, the NAACP was giving him that award. And what was the last thing? Oh, the last thing I want to say is that I knew all the names of all those people that you called, and I have no idea who are going to be the people at this year's Grammys and American Music Awards. That's how out of touch I am. But to hear you call all those names, and I knew a song in my head from every one of those people whose names you called. I'll shut up.
So one of the things I want to highlight is that in addition to the American Music Awards, it was Midnight Special Solid Gold. And if you notice, Kim, I paused and I was about to say this, but I was like, Kim is going to get on us for going over. So I didn't. But thank you for putting that in the chat. So this wasn't really, I don't know why John Breen wrote that way.
I think that he was saying that because it would be, and he left outside the Saturday Night Live. So the only thing I can think is he forgot that Prince performed live on Saturday Night Live, and that he wasn't counting those other appearances because he was lip syncing. Because I think he's emphasizing live. I don't think he's not emphasizing an appearance. He's emphasizing live. And actually, other than Saturday Night Live, everything else was a lip sync. if I remember correctly.
So we're jumping to the end. So I wanted to talk about the new Saturday Night Live 50 documentary that Questlove did with all. It's really basically about the musical performance. It's brilliant. If you haven't seen it, it's on Peacock. Obviously, Prince performed there for the Dirty Mind album. First appeared on Saturday Night Live for the Dirty Mind album, and obviously that was the clip that he showed. I was hoping that we get a little snippet of the electric chair, but we didn't get no electric chair snippet. But yeah. So Kim's saying those shows were taped. So were the Saturday Night, are you saying that the Saturday Night Live shows were taped, or are you talking about the Solid Gold and Midnight Special? I think you're talking about the Solid Gold.
Yeah. And Kim, what I'm saying is they were all taped, but the Saturday Night Live performance is the only one where he actually sang. All those other shows were lip sync. And so I'm guessing what Bream is saying is the American Music Awards performance will be the only time that Prince isn't lip singing on television. And the only correction to that would be the original Saturday Night Live performance, Prince didn't lip sync, he actually performed, yet all of those other ones, he actually lip synced. I think that's what Bream is saying, but I'm not sure.
We should have John Bream on. That would be great.
We should. Yeah.
So this is a really iconic photo. It's one of my favorite photos, actually. Prince and his father, Janelle. This photo is by Brad Elterman, walking, into the American Music Awards with Big Chick behind. Love this photo, especially because Janelle is, dressed in, Louis and Vaughn, and it's just an incredible in stride. I love walking pictures. Don't get me started on documentary photography, but so I won't get started, but yeah. And this is another photo of Prince and his father from the American Music Awards going in. And this is the infamous photo from Carlos and Charlie's, where, the Prince's bodyguards got arrested, including Wally. And this is the photo that was taken by Vinny.
They put them paws on somebody. Put them paws on him. Yes. Prince said, hey, you call them bodyguards, but I call them my friends. I guess I'm used to having them around.
That's right. And then also, this was the night that We Are the World is being recorded. And this is where Prince was at Carlos's and Charlie's. And this is just, I thought this caption was pretty funny. Although circumstances prevented this photo from coming out perfectly clear, here we see Prince and his guitarist, Wendy Melvoin, leaving the purple limo with two bodyguards and heading into Carlos and Charlie's earlier. Because this picture was taken, the bodyguards reportedly roughed up the photographers as Prince watched. The photographers are suing and are intent in getting Prince to testify in court. However, everyone should know where this is from. If you know your Jet magazine, actually, my correction, Susanna, not Wendy. It's actually Susanna. Thank you, my husband. All right, and so this is from Jet magazine. Everyone should know Jet magazine's format. I didn't even need to. When I saw this, I was okay, Jet. So here we go. We got Prince and his bodyguards hit with $15 million lawsuit. Prince, several of his bodyguards, and Warner Communications, his recording label, have been slapped with a $15 million lawsuit by several photographers who charged that they were assaulted by the bodyguards while trying to get pictures of Prince. The photojournalists Vincent Sufanti, Richard Kolsberg, and Kevin Winter contended in their Los Angeles lawsuit that the bodyguards identified in the suit as Big Chick Huntsberry, Lawrence Gibson, Wallace Salford, and Sergeant Slaughter did wrongfully, maliciously, and violently assault Sufanti, Kolsberg, and Winter by pursuing them and threatening to assault them. The suit also charges that Huntsberry, Gibson, and Salford actually did strike Sufanti and Kolsberg with fists and arms, left the club, and later returned for the express purpose of seeking out the photographers to inflict further injuries, all this under the direction of Prince. According to the suit, Sufanti suffered extensive eye damage after being struck by one of the guards. Also listed as defendants in the lawsuit were Prince's PR firm, Cavallo, Ruffalo, and Fargnoli, and Carlos's and Charlie's. All right. Welcome, Ricky. Want to say something to the peoples? Oh, we can't hear you. Make sure you go down to the cogwheel in StreamYard, and you can do some and click on your audio and do some testing for your setup. All right. So this is another photo that's actually in the Jet magazine article in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see it a little bit better here. And there's something about this photo. I don't know, my eye is really drawn to the couple who's watching what's happening on the left. It's really, really interesting. And here are some photos from the American Music Awards. I put this in the wrong order, my apologies. I also love this photo, not for Prince, but for the couple, or I don't know if they're together, but to the left, it's just like different vignettes going on in this one photograph, and always loved. I know this moment when Prince is speaking, and in fact, in the accompanying playlist for this week, someone has compiled everything from the American Music Awards, including Sheila's and Prince's performances in one clip. So that's in the accompanying playlist if you'd like to watch that, and if you haven't seen that before. And here's some more photos.
A quick question for you, D'Angela.
Yep.
Do you remember his speech?
Basically, what death is, what I can't.
Life means death is an adventure. Adventure only comes to those who are willing to be daring and take chances.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yes, something like that. Yep. And then here you go. We got a little bit of brown mark in the back. And you can see the American Music Award, which I think is one of the most beautiful awards, like in terms of the award itself. And if you go to Paisley Park, you can see it, which is really cool. And then also love this photo here with Big Chick in the back. And you can also, I don't know, I love the lady presenter to the left. Really interesting photo. And then here's another photo, which I love, with Prince with the one eye showing. And I loved Lisa's pearls and her purples long skirt, so beautiful. And also Dr. Fink is in his white instead of his normal green scrubs, which is really cool. And you can also see a little bit of Big Chick to the left in this photo. This is the same, a little bit, around the same pose, but it's a little different. And I wanted to show Big Chick in the background. And then here's some more photos. I love that Wendy is smiling. And I also love that Lisa has her hands on her hips in one of the photos. And Vanity is, there we go. Vanity is behind them. And if you look right here, that's Vanity.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, because that's the one where she has on that black, her black dress from like Wild Animal.
Yeah.
Black lace one. She was stunning, and she had her hair up and all of that. I don't think there's another photo where you can see her, but you can definitely see her in this one. And this is Wendy. And I need to find a photo of Vanity from the American Music Awards, because she's really stunning. I didn't put that in here. And then these are some photos from the actual performance. And I like this photo because you get to see sort of the setup of the whole stage. Mm-hmm. And so this is a really cool shot. And then again, the iconic Louis and Vaughn green turquoise metallic ensemble. I just love the long length coat. It's just really, really beautiful. And here's another photo. And obviously we got the white cloud. I love this image as well. And I love seeing Brown Mark in the background, like with his total floral ensemble. And Prince looking up. Here's a couple more shots. And I always love the Prince pointing. And yeah, awesome. So we have a guest. So Ricky, do you want to bring on our guest?
Yeah, I think he's here. Let him on.
All right.
What's
Wonderful.
up, everybody?
Hi, Ted.
Wonderful.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
So I guess you want me to introduce this brother?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the bass player.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's right. You did. I'm sorry. I'm just messing up your interview. Man, I love this dude. In fact, I just watched his breakdown to Kiss yesterday.
Oh, man.
See?
Go ahead, Brother Wyatt. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
all right, ladies and gentlemen. Gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce to you a phenomenal, a friend of mine for years, a phenomenal bass player, a phenomenal music educator, a long time 40+ year Prince fan.
The pay is still the same, Ricky.
as man, he likes to say he's been studying Prince a long time. Wonderful dude. He has one of the best music education YouTube channels for bass players.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? One of the best. He's been educating the masses on Prince for a long time, bass wise.
All right, Doc. All right.
Oh no, man. Hey, man, I'm gonna give you flowers, brother. You know what I'm saying? Dang, what else can I say? Oh, he's represents the Southern contingency along with me, DeAngelis, and Seeley. Coming from New Orleans.
Okay, brother.
You know what I'm saying? So the South is holding it down here. South got something to say.
That's
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, please get some purple love to Mr. Ted, son of a bass good. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh man, it is great to be on the screen with this brother. Man, I love your videos, man. I
appreciate it.
Yeah. Shut up. I'm gonna talk, man. I'm shut up. I'm a fanboy right now. Let me shut up. All right, go ahead, bro.
Hey man, it's just I get a little bit choked up at the thought of Prince because it's hard to explain to people who are passive fans or people who are not fans that I loved a brother like he was a member of my own family. We live in a space right now where people can really let their freak flags fly, and if it weren't for people like Prince, that may not be possible. The fact that I can be on YouTube and earn a living through e-commerce and stuff like that, I trace that back to Prince. So anyway, I'm happy to be here, and can't wait to rap a little bit about this New Orleans Purple Rain experience.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Ted, for coming on to share your experience. And if you're time constrained, we can talk about your experience right now, or if you have a little time to hang out, we can talk about the American Music Awards.
I'm a roll on your agenda. I popped in and I was enjoying taking that trip down memory lane. So I'm a roll with your flow.
All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait to hear about your experience in New Orleans, because New Orleans is one of my favorite cities, if not my favorite city in the States. And I'm not from there. But Seeley, I know that you have a story you want to tell us about the American Music Awards.
So my American Music Award ties into the actual Purple Rain Tour. So let me start here. The Purple Rain Tour is the only Prince American tour that I did not see. I saw Prince every time he was in America. I got to see Prince open for Rick James. I got to end with the piano and the microphone. The reason I did not see the Purple Rain tour is because my mother's a teacher. That 6 weeks, I had 2 D's and an F, and my mama turned my tickets into purple confetti in front of my face. And what I remember mostly, so Sister Prof, just cover your ears just for a second. My mother, not only Claudette Winfield McInnis, didn't just turn my purple tickets into confetti, she made them rain. And then when the purple confetti tickets dissipated, she looked me in my eyes and said, "Remember, stupid motherfuckers don't get to do shit. Now get out my face." Now, American Music Awards, because I was still on punishment, I did not see Prince's performance on the American Music Awards or his performance on the Grammys until a year later when I found a girl who had him on VHS. So not only did I miss, because I lived, as brothers, as y'all know, I grew up in Clarksville, Mississippi, home of the blues. I'm always proud of Clarksville, Mississippi, home of the blues, which was 40 minutes away from Memphis. Because we missed that, I didn't see that, so I got to see. So I did not see Prince on the American Music Awards and on the Grammys until an actual year later on VHS. That's my American Music Awards. I'm gonna shut up because I want to give as much time to I guess. That's it.
All right. So,
and I hope my mama tearing up the tickets didn't run our guess away. I hope. Like, I'm out of here.
So I love. Actually, Liegh, I don't know if you're seeing this, but Ted put in the chat that you tell it to Liegh, Ted.
You said your mother was a Winfield.
Yeah.
My mother is also a Winfield, and if you're down in Mississippi, we're gonna have to talk a little bit offline because I'm putting money on us being kin.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, we'll exchange information. I love that.
Most
All right.
The Prince Music Board be bringing folks together. They didn't even know they was related.
That's it.
Yeah. So I do. Let's see. How long is this thing? It's pretty long. I'm not going to do that to you. So I do have a follow-up article that John Bream wrote about the American Music Awards, about the like how many awards Prince won and all that. But I really want to, I'm very big on respecting people's time. And I'm so thankful, Ted, again, that you took time out of your schedule to be with us today. And we want to hear what was your Purple Rain experience. But before you do that, can you tell us like your Prince origin story, if you don't mind?
Oh, for sure. I love talking about my Prince origin story. You know, I discovered music real early, and people would give me records. My mother gave me records. My aunts gave me records. And one day my aunt gave me a stack of 45s, and I found Uptown in this stack of 45s. And then, you know, I Want to Be Your Lover had already been on the radio and stuff like that. But then I was like, whoa, I was really drawn to the bass line. And then I was just like, I need to go down the rabbit hole on this situation. You know what I'm saying? That's really, that's the short version of my Prince origin story, as a 45 in Uptown. Yeah.
Can you tell us what year that was? And do you know what year and where you were as a
1980 in New Orleans.
Okay. How old were you?
How old was I?
Yes.
Are you trying to put my business out in the street?
Oh, my bad. No,
I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good, because in 1980, to the day my father died, he always said, I'm not telling the story right now. You tell him if I tell it right, you look even worse. My father mistakenly took me to see Prince open for Rick James when I was 10. Yeah, a lot of people know that story. So that's why I'm always trying to say, yes, I got to see Prince in his drawers when I was 10 because my father forgot I was in the venue. So,
man,
yeah, I want to know kind of where you were in your maturation.
Man, let me tell you, my father was in the Air Force. And I can remember, you know, we were driving over to the West Bank to go to the naval base, and I got the Controversy cassette, and I'm playing that, and it got to Jack You Off. And my dad does this, you know, there's this long pause, and he looks at me, he said, Ted, what in the hell is a man talking about jacking somebody off? Oh yeah. They got it after a while, but yeah.
Awesome. So before you tell us your experience at the New Orleans show, we have a couple of tickets from the New Orleans show, and I love on these tickets it says "Wear Something Purple," And I'm also, Ted, just so you know, I'm a designer. So I sort of obsess about things like logos. So it's so great to see this Ticketmaster logo all nice and pretty on the right side, on it's standing up on its rotated like 90 degrees. But another thing, the reason why I show both of these, that I thought it was interesting that the other ticket has like an outline or I guess an illustration of the venue, which I thought was really, really cool. And I just want to show really quickly, this is the only photo that I found, but I didn't do a lot of digging because it takes a lot to put these together. But this is an image from the New Orleans very first 1985 show. And with that being said, let's hear your New Orleans experience.
Wait, so before you do, I got a couple questions for you, Ted.
Yeah.
Was it Purple Rain show? I know your first Prince show.
Yep.
Was there any reason why you didn't go see like 1999 touring, or just
too young? Too young. Wasn't really. Didn't have the resources to do that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question for you, because I'm asking this just to show to the newbies how like invested many of us were in Prince back then. Like what'd you have to do, or how'd you earn your like Purple Rain tickets?
I don't think that I had to earn. I don't really remember that much. And I do have a photo, one of my favorite photos from that show that I took with a Kodak disc camera. That I meant to send you ahead of time, but I forgot. But
it's okay. You'll send it to me. I'll show it next week.
My dad came to. He was on TDY, and he came into town, and there's a restaurant, famous restaurant called Dookie Chase in New Orleans on Orleans Avenue. I grew up. If those of you familiar with New Orleans, I grew up behind the Carver Theater in the Treme area. Which was, historically the oldest Black neighborhood in the country. And so Dookie Chase had a Ticketmaster in there, and my dad bought 2 tickets for me and my friend Leo for $25 a piece. And I think it couldn't have been a report card thing, but there was something, it was just, kind of him showing love. And so we bought the ticket. And I vividly remember the Wear Something Purple and my mom taking me out to go get something. But Leo and I walked from my house to the Superdome. And of course, these tickets were just horrible, horrible seats. And I was like, we going up there. We going up there. I don't know how we getting up there, but we going up there. And so is it possible to share my screen?
I think let me stop sharing mine and see if you can share yours.
Let's see.
Yeah, because those Superdome seats are steep the higher you go up.
Yeah, they are. So we wound up. So here's let's see. There it is. So that's how far we ended up getting. And after the show was over, it was just like all anybody could talk about. When we got back to school, everybody's kind of comparing their photos and stuff. The spots on there are definitely from hair product. I used to listen. I used to be fried, dyed, laid all the way to the side at one time.
Hey brother, that's why my hairline is running away today. I had the Jerry curl, the classic curl, the perm, the fang away, so I understand about what that era did.
Oh yeah, it did some things. When I was back in the dark ages, when I was married, I bet my wife that I could grow my hair back, and she was like, "Go ahead and do it." And I started growing it back, and it was growing in like some weird spots and whatnot. I said, "Nah, I think this is gonna be the look from now on." So, the carefree a world of curls. You know, when they original
Wow.
original, and there's stuff, there's like paper assignments from middle school that I got in here that are still in here. So this one is destroyed, obviously, because you had to like take all your stuff and hang it on the wall. But then later on, I found one that was in better condition. But this is the one that I got from the concert. So when I opened up the what was it, the deluxe remaster, and it opened up talking about that show in New Orleans, I wept, because I was like, I was there, and that was just a life-changing experience. Fast forward, I want to tell you that. Fast forward, I moved to the Bay Area, and became friends with Zena Escovedo, and everybody knows that Prince has this really deep Bay Area connection. So years later, shameless plug, I recorded an album called Saint Anne, and Dr. Fink plays on that, as well as Levi. But I ended up getting recruited by Levi Ceasar to play in two projects. I played in a project with him called Love Jet. And then I toured for a very, very, very short time with Jody Watley, and Levi was the guitar player. I feel like I'm just tangenting, but just stick with me here.
No, we love tangents.
So in this process, I meet Fink, and who texted me over Thanksgiving. But during COVID, we were talking, and anybody's ever talked to Matt Fink, he's just a lovable nerd. You know what I mean? He'll just, and it's just, so we're talking about something, and he was kind of presenting a potential placement for one of my songs, and I had to pull over, and I had to pull over in front of my middle school. And I was like, if I could go back to middle school me and say, one day you are going to be friends with some of these people. A funny story. The last show I played with Jody Watley was in San Diego. And I had this really dope shirt that had Prince and Andre Simone on it. And coincidentally, I was introduced to Levi by a guy named Prince. His real name is Prince. His name is Prince Damons. And so we're at the airport, going to rendezvous with the rest of the band. He says to me, maybe you shouldn't wear that shirt, because I don't know if Jody and Andre were like super fans at the time. But yeah, it was fun stuff. Tangent.
Yeah. So actually, Dr. Fink, he has been on our podcast. What did Prince do this week? I'm forgetting my own show. And also, he's actually been with us. We do like these annual symposia. So we did like a love sexy symposium in 2018, and he came to NYU. I'm a professor at NYU. So we had Dr. Fink live, we had Kat live, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, we had Ingrid Chavez, and also Chuck Zwicky, as well as Joe Blaney, a couple of the record producers. And yeah, we've talked to Dr. Fink the most, and we love him so very much.
He's a sweetheart. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. And one of the things, we go on a lot of tangents, Ted. So I just want you to know that of all of Prince's bass players, except Prince himself, obviously, Levi is my favorite Prince bass player. And I've only had the opportunity to meet him very briefly twice. One time, though, I was on stage with MPG in New York, and when The Beautiful Ones was being released, and the MPG was behind me. I was looking at Levi, but I forgot that Sonny T was behind me. And on stage, on this venue, I literally said that Levi is my favorite bass player. And afterwards, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? So after the event, I had to go find Sonny T and like apologize. But it's true. It's my truth.
Levi. So when I started really kicking it with Levi was shortly after Prince passed. And, I didn't know him that well. We're just getting to know each other, but I'm doing rehearsals because it was like first I was supposed to sub for the Purple Ones, that Prince tribute band, which, listen, no shade to other tribute bands out there, but when you have people that were in that ecosystem, it is unrivaled. And they were doing the Sign of the Times show from front to back. So I was doing rehearsals with him on that, and then this other project, Love Jet, and it was shortly after Prince passed. And I have rehearsal recordings that I'll never share. I will never ever share them. But what would happen was I could see him get this 1,000-yard stare, and then he would go off to tell a story. And it was not a man talking about a superstar, a legend. It wasn't a man talking about this otherworldly figure. It was a man talking about his friend. And whatever resolved, unresolved smoke might have been between them, he never said anything, he would say funny things like, man, one time he did this and we want, but oh man, I just feel so incredibly fortunate to have been in these spaces. One time I'd done a tutorial on the song Stare, and somebody commented and they was like, you should be proud, Prince just tweeted you. I was like, nah. And it turns out that he had, or somebody from his team had. And I had to ask Levi because, you're curious. And I was like, do you think I would have, you think I would have got the call? And he's like, you would have got the call. He's like, he knew who you were, and he was aware of you and stuff like that. And man, if I could have had the chance just to be in that space, like to try and even fail, would have been something. But yeah, another tangent. So,
Totally okay.
Ted, I know this, but I want you to share this. I know having seen the Purple Rain show, and then I know you met with Fink, but a lot of people don't know, but you interviewed Brown Mark.
I did.
I know you talked with him. How was that? Did you have the same kind of experience? I know with Fink, where you had a moment where you were like, man.
Yeah. I mean, funk music, particularly funk is my love language. And, I sat in the bass chair with Zigaboo Modelise for the Meters for 8 or 9 years. I grew up in New Orleans. New Orleans has got its own brand of funk. Minneapolis has got its funk. Oakland has got its funk. So I don't know a lot about a lot. I feel like I know a lot about funk. So I share that with the world. And so Brown Mark's manager had contacted me, and, Mark likes what you're doing, yada, yada, and I'm like, man, I would love to talk to him. And I talked to him for about an hour. And what I have found from every single person in that camp that I have come into contact with, had conversations with, they are all incredibly kind people, humble people. And these are people who have seen the mountaintop. And I'm saying this because I'm getting off I'm sorry, Ricky. I don't know if I'm completely answering the question, but I'll meet a nobody that's got ego for days and days and days and days and days. And I'm like, nah, man, it don't go down like that. You know what I'm saying? But Mark is another beautiful cat. I haven't talked to him in quite some time. We've interacted a bit on Instagram and stuff, but that same feeling, like, damn, this cat is like really one of my heroes. That like this, if I look back at the tree of my life as a musician, particularly my bass playing, I'm like, this guy is the blueprint. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys are hip to Clark Sims. Clark Sims, they call him the Funk Father on Instagram.
I'm not familiar.
Clark is a young lion. I mean, he used to be at my gigs, everybody's gigs. You talk about like Brown Mark reincarnated, Prince reincarnated on bass and guitar, just like stanky. And he works with Mark from time to time as well. So if a plug for him, the Funk _ Father. Just if you like Brown Mark, Clark Sims is a guy to check out.
We love Brown Mark. So because we've been reading about Purple Rain, because we're reading this book, the first book, we're on the second book now, but we read the first book over 2 years. And so this is our third year going into Duane Tudahl's studio sessions. And we do this every week on Saturdays at noon. And when I prepare like these slide decks, I'm constantly listening to rehearsals, the sound checks and the whatnot. So I've been listening to Brown Mark like constantly for the past 2 years. And I particularly love when they rehearse Baby I'm a Star. It's like my fit. And Brown Mark, like he's always on fire, but it's something about Baby I'm a Star. Like they rehearse that so much that I just feel like he gets into like the flow or the zone and he can really like work it out. So we love Brown Mark for sure. Now, because we're talking about the funk, and let me see if I can share this. I'm going to remove yours, and let's see if I can do this. We'll see. I want to share really quickly that actually, I think you can see this. Yes. Stanley Nelson, who directed the Miles Davis documentary, is actually putting out another documentary in PBS on PBS in April. It's going to premiere called We Want the Funk, which I'm really looking forward to. And so if you love your funk like we do, you want to definitely make sure you check out the Stanley Nelson documentary. And if you haven't seen the Miles Davis documentary, you need to check that out for sure.
That looks hot. Yeah,
it is going to be for sure. All right. So, Ted, talk to us about Purple Rain Tour, New Orleans, 1985.
What more can I say?
You'd like that. So I went
to the height.
Yeah. So just so you know, Ted, I went to the Purple Rain Tour. And I was 12 years old at the time, and my first tour was 1999. Because my mom didn't know who Prince was. That's the only way I got to that show, and my aunt and uncle took me. So the thing is, though, I don't remember a lot from that concert. I actually remember more because my mom took me about going to the concert. I remember where we were sitting, like what my perspective was. I remember thinking that Prince was a human being. I was enamored by Prince, by Sheila's glowing drumsticks. Like that is what's blazed on my retina. But I don't really have, and I remember Prince coming out of the floor and all that smoke and all that kind of stuff, but I don't have a lot of specific memories. And it's okay if you don't have any of those memories. So anything that you can think of, whether it was going to the show, leaving the show, anything that you can share with us.
Well, I was 15 and I would be like you. I remember the adventure of leaving leaving our sort of nosebleed seats. And I saw Prince maybe 30 times the last time at the Oakland Coliseum for piano and microphone. But that first time I remember jumping off of some sort of riser or balcony. It wasn't that high, but these boots I had on that were maybe a little bit too big. I could remember my feet getting hurt, and I'm looking at my homie, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, we going up there some kind of way. We getting up there, and if you don't want to go," and we get there, and I remember standing behind this really tall white guy and like making my way around him, but I'm singing everything at the top of my lungs, and one point thinking, is it going to do Purple Rain? You know, I'm a kid, so I'm, you know, is it going to do Purple Rain? Is it going to do Purple Rain? And the guy looks at me, he's like, he's going to do Purple Rain, kid. Don't worry about it. So, but then, you know, I'm like at the top of my lungs with everything. And I do remember him shooting me this really dirty look like, dang, bro. I mean, you louder than him. So that's what those are the things I remember from the actual show, but the energy of walking to, somebody got to type in the chat if they know New Orleans and know this area of New Orleans, which, you know, now is, you know, post gentrification and all of that stuff is kind of, you know, happy go lucky, but back in those days was really dark and grimy. And so here's, you know, me and my homie, I had on parachute pants.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All the zippers. Zippers. Talk to him. Talk to him about them zippers.
I had on black parachute pants with these like, oh gosh, with these like suede pointy boots. And we had the zippers, and I might have some chains hanging, and I had like a purple flannelish type of thing and a black beret. It wasn't a raspberry beret. It was definitely black. We weren't hip to the raspberry berets yet. And just this walk to the, you know, to the concert. This is like my first like big boy outing, you know, by myself. And then afterwards, walking back home, you know, tired, tired, but still with all the adrenaline pumping, and just like, what did I just see? But it was life-changing for me. It was life-changing because I just like, that is what I want to do. I want to do that, whatever that is. How can I get that in my life? Like,
I know the feeling, brother.
Yeah. So, you know, that's what I remember most is just.
Let me ask you this question, because you're from New Orleans, and for me being from Clarksdale, which was, you know, by the time I come around, it's the home of the blues, but it's not what it was. But New Orleans was always that. One of the things I tell people is that I didn't really need to buy records until I left and went to college, because in Clarksdale, music was everywhere. So from the moment I left my house to walk downtown, New Orleans is the same, right? You don't really, of course you have records, but you don't really need records to get music. So my question to you is, can you talk a little bit about maybe how your musical experience either prepared you for your Prince fandom, your New Orleans musical experience, either prepared you for your Prince fandom, or how your musical experience prepared you for seeing him live, or something in that nature of you growing up in this very musical city and then becoming a Prince fan and seeing him live, and what kind of impact or remnants that had combining all together? That's
a good question. So to be honest with you, when I was younger, I didn't really like New Orleans music. And a lot of ways I disliked it very much. And that's because it was just like everything I heard. And growing up in Treme, like when I tell people I'm from New Orleans, I'm like, I'm from New Orleans, like for real from New Orleans. So like the corner of Orleans and Claiborne is like an epicenter for second lines and, you know, just brass band music, which I have a deep appreciation for now, you know, as you get older. But once like a lot of kids, it's easy for you to reject what is right there in front of you. Mm-hmm. And so when I heard this Minneapolis thing, and it wasn't just the music, but it was Prince's myth making, his persona, the whole thing. And then, you know, I'm short, so I'm like, my mom's short, and I'm like, oh, he's short too. So there was like that connection. I'm an only child. I think the word bullying gets used quite a lot, but I think if we use today's vocabulary, I was bullied a bit growing up, and so Prince really gave me this feeling of like, it's okay to be different. It's okay to, you know, kind of be a little bit left of center. But it's like New Orleans is so rhythmic. So the music is so rhythmic, and it's so like tribal is, rhythmic is the word I'm going to use. And so even though Prince is primarily known as a guitar player, like that funk thing connecting those two dots really drew me to being a bass player. I was a kid, man. I would sit on the porch and I had like this little loudspeaker, and I was like, everybody in the projects has got to hear, like you were quoting Hello earlier. Right. And I was like, when that came out, I was like, oh, everybody's got to hear this. My mom be at work or whatever, I'm cutting school, but I can't be incognito about it because I'm like on the porch playing bass and like blasting Prince. It's funny, and you guys probably have this experience as well. It took something to be like a really out there Prince fan. Now everybody's like, claiming they've been Prince fans from way back. And I'm like, nah, I knew you in high school.
Right.
I knew you were in high school. You weren't that. Come on. I think I answered the question. I think I'm
Let me ask you one quick question.
Just before you ask your question, Celie, I don't know if Ricky told you, but Ricky and I are high school Prince friends. So
it all makes sense now.
Yeah. So we both went to Southwest DeKalb and the ATL, and at least I had my Prince love out because I had a jean jacket that had 100 Prince buttons on it. And yes, I got alienated and I got looks because people don't understand that being a Prince fan back then, you were seen as a freak. You were like an other. You were alienated. And also there was a lot of Michael Jackson Prince rivalry. You had to pick a side. And, I've told this story before, but there were literally fights at high school over Prince versus Michael Jackson.
Did you have your Rude Boy pin?
Of course. I still have my Rude Boy pin.
Yes.
Ted. Controversy is my favorite album.
Ted, man, she was so heavy with it that when I met her, I was like, hey, look, you're a Prince fan. And she was like, so do you have the Families album? No hello, no nice to meet you. She was straight like, so do you have the Families album? I said, yeah, of course. She said, okay. And then we became friends. It was like I had to pass this.
You're like, you legit now. You legit. I'm checking to see if you legit.
Bro, that's the litmus test. If I'm to like rock with people, is you know what I mean? That was the litmus test back then. What you really got. But somebody wanted to ask me a question, but I want to ask y'all a question while we on this. Do y'all remember the first bootleg you got your hands on?
I was going to say because
of course
mine wasn't my first, but I will say this. I'll tell you my first, but with you being on and connecting what y'all just said, my second bootleg, Controversy Tour in New Orleans. I'm riding in the car, right? With the Controversy bootleg in New Orleans playing in my car. I got this little honey with me.
Little honey.
This little honey.
Stella.
This little Stella sings the entire concert. That's my wife to this day.
No kidding.
Yes. So that's Controversy New Orleans, my second ever bootleg. My first bootleg was nightclubbing, and it was two, because it was nightclubbing was the half thing of the after show, which is the longer thing, and that opens with Prince playing the riff with DMSR. But yeah, so that's I'll let them answer. But man, for me, for this show, that Controversy 1981, it's a soundboard show. It's pristine. The fact that he ends it by saying, I can't let you leave till I jack you off. Right. That whole, but the fact that was the moment that little pretty thing that was in my neighborhood went from being my homie to like, yeah, we gonna have to take the relationship to another level. I'll shut up.
Man, my first bootleg, like that. I think D'Angelo got it for me. Actually, it was a vinyl copy of the Black Album, Summer '88, Summer '88.
Yeah.
And it had been, you know, rumored that it had been out and all that, and then D'Angelo got hers, and she was like, "So you want one?" And man, I remember it was like $20, and $20.88 for some music was a lot of money. And I remember I went to my elderly neighbor across the street to, hey, look, can I cut your grass? Earn that money, you know, gave it to D'Angelo, and then, man, I still got that vinyl. That was my first bootleg. Was like the
Ricky,
Black Album.
Ricky, thank you for correcting me, because I always forget, because in my friends that cassette was circulated so freely, I forget that was the first bootleg I had, because I actually didn't pay for that. Like that, I had it on cassette, and that was technically in 1988. When I started thinking about bootlegs, I started thinking about when I was consciously being a collector, and you're constantly going to these shops. These, like, people don't remember when you were getting Prince bootlegs in 1991, you were possibly meeting people in alleys that were kind of sketchy human beings. Now, I know that sounds far-fetched, but there's a lot of people from whom I got bootlegs in a lot of places where they was out there doing earring piercings, and they didn't have like no alcohol for the earring piercings, and tattoos with things that didn't look like people should have been getting tattoos with. I mean, that's where you was getting bootlegs from. So,
True indeed.
So there's in my mind, there's like 1991 when I'm calling myself a collector and going into places and going into alleys and consciously. But like you said, in 1988, that cassette with the Black Album and if people don't remember, that cassette was out before Love Sexy. That cassette, because I remember being pissed when it got scrapped and Love Sexy. Now, luckily, I love Love Sexy, so that was the great thing that I got over that. But I remember, that's the one thing I remember about that cassette, is having that cassette and then being told that the album is not, because the cassette was kind of a crappy quality, the one I had. You could hear it, but you know how bootlegs and it's been recorded. And when Love Sexy came out, I was really bummed. So I'll shut up. Yeah, thank you, Rick, for reminding me that one of those first widely circulated bootlegs was that Black Album cassette. I'll shut up. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah. So what I remember too was where the places in that sold bootlegs, they didn't have them out with the other stuff. It's like you had to ask the cat from like behind the corner, you know, like behind the counter, like, do you have any like print stuff? And then they look at you kind of funny, and you'd have to kind of say like live stuff, or, you know what I'm saying, unreleased. I'd be like, oh yeah, and it'll be a section like on the shelf behind the counter or something like that.
Man, do you remember that records used to come out on Tuesdays?
Yep.
Of course.
Guys remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Record day.
And I can remember just random when Come came out. I had just moved to the Bay Area, and I just randomly called Sam Goody and was like, do you have any new Prince stuff out? Oh, as a matter of fact, we do. Listen, I'm going to just say my first bootleg was Chocolate Box, and I used to go to Rock and Roll Collectibles in New Orleans, and I would pay that man $30 for like a 12th generation of a live recording. I don't want to take anybody else. What's the password? I don't want to take anybody else's time on that, because Lord have mercy.
No, I mean, this is what we live for. So, Ted,
I'm so excited to be here. I'm like, it's always, I know Ricky, but I'm so happy. I'm over the moon to meet you guys.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you as well. So I didn't tell you my first bootleg. So here's the deal. So when I was in high school, I didn't eat. My mom gave me $5 a week for lunch. And instead of eating, I would save it for the albums, the 12 inches of singles, not just for Prince, but all the proteges. But in addition to that, I also traded cassette tapes with the live shows and the rehearsals. So I wasn't in the alley with Liegh, but I was just, sending people, blank tapes, and they would send it back. But after doing that and getting burned a couple of times, where you send people the tapes and they wouldn't send you what you asked for back, I stopped doing that. But in terms of like the vinyls, it was definitely the Black Album. It was Charade was one of my favorite bootlegs. Charade, love Charade. And then also, Royal Jewels. Yeah, Royal Jewels, all of that. So yeah. I want to know, Ted, actually, since we're going deep, And we love having you here, and I love meeting new Prince fans. What's your favorite era? Not necessarily, you can tell me your favorite album if you have one, but like, what is your go-to Prince era?
Before he does that, I just
Oh,
want.
I forgot, Lee, you had a question.
I want him to answer that question. I just want to, when we get as we get our bootlegs, I want to give a shout out to a magazine that a lot of people may know, but have forgotten. Goldmine magazine.
Oh yes.
Goldmine magazine. If you are a true collector,
yep.
because Goldmine magazine specializes in bootlegs of everybody.
You people are old.
Yeah, see, we old. See, so Goldmine. If for all the newbies out there, go look up Goldmine magazine. So in the back, kind of like what they call them when you put ads. The classifieds, and you could find the collectors. And hell, I don't get it. It's 35 years ago. I don't even know if this dude is still in business. But there was a guy, I'm in Mississippi, guy out of New York. He was called Kevin, and it was Living at the Midnight Videos. I remember because he had named his company after a Judas Priest song. And he had a whole bunch of just listed bootlegs. So I have to give a shout out to Goldmine magazine as being one of the go-to rags to get your bootleg game on point and to turn. And what I like was they rated the sellers. So they knew, because I'm glad you said that, Prof, because you could get burned.
Oh yeah.
Bootleg, you could get burned. Like I said, it was sketchy. And so I'm like, I don't have beef with the companies that, that became the who's making the records and then in the CDs, because at least they was legit. There was a couple of people in the magazines, you send them your cassette or you send them some money and you get burned. And so I learned to go with the rate. So I ended up sticking with this dude named Kevin, Living at the Midnight Videos, and I got a whole bunch of good stuff. I'll shut up so Brother Ted.
Is that the dude that may rerun Go Tape the Doobie Brothers?
There you go. That's it. Taking it to the streets. All right, I'll stop.
So Ted, just really quickly, just so you can understand who I am, let me break it down for you. I met my husband at a record convention in Atlanta looking for Prince bootlegs. And
where's my queen at? Where's my queen? Is there a queen amongst you? Where's my queen?
They're like, won't you come? Like the pastor, the doors of the purple church.
The doors of the church are open. I got no cheering.
All right. So Ted, let me finish. So we got married on what date you think we got married on?
3/19?
No, June 7th, Prince's birthday. And I walked down the aisle to Madhouse.
Why didn't I know that? Keep going.
I walked down the aisle to Madhouse 1, and our vows was the lyrics to Adore.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
But my mama told me I better not buy a purple dress because I was going to buy one.
I know. You got to make your mama happy.
There you go. Right. There you go.
See, Lee, you touched on something. If I could back up just a little bit, sure. This stroll down memory lane about I call it the quest for music.
Yep.
And I've taught a lot of people music over the years. The first thing I always ask is, what are you listening to? What do you like? See, nowadays it's hard to retain, and people, we have the tyranny of choice, and we got a playlist of 1,000 songs and things like that. But when we had to save up or go see the bootleg man or whatever, you knew every single thing on that record. You knew that record front to back. One time I won concert tickets to see Prince on a radio show. And this was like Car Wash. I was like the dude on Car Wash. I was working in a warehouse at the time. And the gag was that you had to identify 7 snippets played backwards.
Wow.
So all of my coworkers are they're watching. And when I finally get in, they're like, how did you do that? And I was like, this is really, for better or worse, all I listened to. You know, I got fired from the first band that I was in. These older guys, he's like, you got to listen to something besides Prince. But you know, and as far as just really, really quickly on the subject of the Queens, I'm at the musicology warm-up show in San Francisco with a young lady, and it had been a long day. I had a rehearsal, you know, the glory days of camping out for tickets, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a rehearsal that day. So her mom came and actually sat for a few hours while we did other things in line. But that night wasn't a great night for me and this young lady because we had an argument in the front row. I'm talking front, like Prince. I'm sure he saw this argument go down. So we make up, we kiss and make up as one does. And couple weeks later, he's back in San Jose. You know, Prince would just like come to the Bay and you know, he gonna be, you know, there. So we go to the Bay. We're in San Francisco and San Jose at the HP Pavilion. And towards the end of the night, we're standing by the gate, by the VIP section, holding hands with Maceo Parker while he does Purple Rain. Prince comes off the stage, looks at her, takes his handkerchief out, both hands, grabs her by the hand, and I'm like, you little moron. You saw went down. You saw that go down. You trying to take my check. I like your music, bro. But anyway, tangent.
That's okay. So what is your favorite Prince era?
It's hard to say. It's so hard to say because they happen at so many different, like, pivotal, you know, I could say Purple Rain. I was an adolescent, right? And going through all the adolescent things, your first breakup and like every, you know, your first love, and everybody is like, you know, all the feelings, you know, and all the songs like addressed your feelings. There was, you know, the Gold experience. I just left New Orleans and moved to California. So there was that whole bag. God, it is, I love them all. I love them all for really specific reasons. Right now, I'm going to regret saying this later. Only because I'm going to think of something else and I'm going to be like, no, that's my favorite era. But I loved musicology because the music was getting back to a more organic state. And one of the things that I really loved about Prince is that the myth making in the early days, the racial ambiguity and all that's cool. But the older he became and he evolved into this elder statesman, he embraced and celebrated openly, widely his blackness.
Yes.
And that is something, it gives me chills to think about. You know, now that we have all these old pictures and we see the video clip of him at 11 years old, and we see pictures of him in the neighborhood, and you're like, this is just another brother, really. You know, he's a brother like all of us. He light skinned, but this is a brother, and that's just important. So musicology kind of hit on all those things, musically hit on all those things, man. Doing I love the Memphis, this is what I was talking about in the Kiss video just this week, but like bringing that Memphis influence, that soul man influence into that. I'm gonna say right now that's my favorite.
Awesome. Thank you. We have a question from the chat, and it says, Ted, who's your best bass player from Peace Camp besides Levi and Prince?
I've heard him answer this several times, but that's why I'm laughing.
Unfair. This is bullshit. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this shit. Off the top of my head, and anybody wants to go to my channel, TED Talks Bass, if I could put the plug out there, I did do a video evolution of Prince's bass players.
Yep.
Brown Mark is the GOAT. Brown Mark is the GOAT. However, I loved Rhonda Smith, my ex-wife. I met her giving her bass lessons. She became my wife, and she kind of favored Rhonda Smith a little bit. So maybe that was a thing. I don't know. But Brown Mark, because oh man, I don't want to cuss. I don't want to.
But he was a dude. And Brown Mark was a dude for us as a kid.
I mean, he was the dude for us as a kid, but it's like on some. It's on some real black shit. You know what I mean? Like it's on some real black shit. You know, and Andre as well. But we don't. Even though we know Andre is Cole, we don't have the recorded data with Andre, right? On in Prince's music. But Mark, we got so much stuff. And I argue anybody to this day, Prince don't even have no bass in his music. He absolutely does have bass in it, you know, and a whole gang of it too. And what's that?
I said thank you. So many. I've heard that from so many people.
Well, if you take, you know, like nowadays when you think about a bass player, folks want to go to, you know, beautiful cats, rightfully so, the Marcus Millers and the Victor Wootons and all that. And yeah, that's cool. But I grew up, as we all did, in some real thumping and plucking and some rumbling and some like, oh man, I don't know why my stomach feel like that. I don't know why. Oh, thank you so much for sharing my you know what I'm saying? So of course, you know, being a bass player who plays funk, I mean, Larry Graham is you know, is the godfather of us all. But I did not love the Larry Graham era.
I did not either. And I love Larry Graham as a bass player, but
oh, absolutely. It just got it got weird. It got weird. I went to go see him at the Kodak during the Rainbow Children, and it was cool, but it was, you know, it was maybe a little too preachy for my taste. And you know, I respect my man for going through a thing and doing a thing and exploring all of that, but that wasn't my favorite.
So I actually have on Monday, I went to go see one of my favorite bass players. Hold on, let's see if I can. Mohini Day at the Blue Note.
Fire.
I'm curious, yeah. So actually in the company playlist, there are several videos of her from Blue Note. And if you want to see the whole thing, you have to go over to @Groovement71, but I have like 4 or 5. And I think she's incredible. I have some musician friends who don't like her. So I'm curious, like, what your stance is.
We need to unpack that. I love her musicianship. I would not say that I don't like her. I wouldn't say that I, you know, okay. So I have another video on my channel about Prince's bass playing. This very unwise person that's taking all the drugs said that Flea was a better bass player than Prince.
Oh, I love that video you did. Thank you.
Actually, I put that in so we have an accompanying playlist, and I put that one in the accompanying playlist for this week.
Wackadoo. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Flea, and you were talking apples and oranges in a very subjective thing. But I'm not going to, you know, I know what I like, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like I'm a bass player that's not into Jocko. I'm not a jazz head. Mohini Day is amazing. She's got this, she's musical, she's lyrical in her playing. She's very technical, right?
There we go.
I won't. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want that. And so that's just my thing also. You see that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
beautiful.
So
Love it.
anyway, that's where, you know, I don't dislike her. She ain't gonna be the first thing I put on to play, and for me, not gonna be the first thing that I go to watch necessarily.
Have you seen her live?
I have not.
I would highly suggest it. So
Yes.
that's like the conversation I had with my friend. They were saying that she's just too technical, you know, that she's scaly, you know what I mean? Like, and but I love her playing live now. This is my first time seeing her live. I have so much respect for her, for
I
sure.
wish that we got a chance to see more of what Mono Neon would have brought to the table.
Yes, for sure.
Because Mono Neon back in the early, and I've been having a YouTube channel for a long time. I remember when Mono Neon first came out, and he would always have this manifesto at the end of his videos.
Yep.
And I loved that. I don't like the fit. He's a weird cat. He's funny. You know what I'm saying? And when I say I don't like the fit, I'm like, I wouldn't wear it. But boy, I love that. And Jackie Clark was a mentor. Jackie Clark is a friend of mine, bass player out of Memphis, who is insane. Played with some of everybody. But oh God, Michelle, I love Michelle.
Just when you talk about finding the bass, I fell in love with Michelle Indeocello. She did a guest spot. She wasn't a performer. How like Arsenio would have people sit in the band. And she sat in with the band. And when Arsenio introduced her, she played the bass line to Less Work, and I fell in love with her. So to anybody who talks about Prince doesn't have any bass, and of course you can go listen to the Prince record, but when she played the bass riff to Less Work, I don't understand how anyone could say that Prince doesn't have any bass. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Well, you know, bass, like when Prince says, you know, looks at bass as the bass,
the bottom.
right? It's a, you know, it is a supportive instrument. It's not a lead instrument in the traditional sense, in the way that in the music that we grew up listening to, right? But the frequency of bass can be addressed by anything. You know what I mean? Like he says, you know, Kiss does have bass. It's in the reverb of the kick drum. And I don't like a whole lot of notes. There's a bootleg. You guys have probably heard it. He's doing the Bird for like 20 minutes. And then, you know, and at one point he says, one groove, easy $1 million. Easy $1 million. If I show up at a gig, I just did one on Frenchman Street a few months ago. And as I look at the drummer set up, I'm just like, oh man, this is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare because he's got like a Coliseum kit. And I don't need you to be John Bonham. I need Questlove. You know what I'm saying? Show me what you could do with the hi-hat, the kick, and the snare. Because that's where all the doggone funk is going. It's going to be right in there. When you can make the minimal stuff sound musical. That's not some old head thing talking, you know, dissing what younger folks are doing. This your time. Do your thing. But me, man, it's something about when that snare is just a little bit laid back. You know what I'm saying? And that bass is locked in, and everything is a drum. Everything is a drum.
I know a lot of people may not know this, but I know this because I've been following, you know, because we've been tight for a minute. When you were in the Bay one of your last at the school that you were teaching, one of your last projects, you had a class of students and you taught them, if I remember correctly, like the glamorous life. And you taught everybody their parts. And a lot of what Ted is saying, he was teaching to the kids at that time, and I know for you, I know, is that a full circle moment for you to kind of be, you know, teaching them some things that,
bro, let me tell you, the drummer Kenya is now a music teacher.
Oh, wow.
She's in her first year of teaching music. I met that group of kids when they were in the 9th grade. Elise is a singer. All of them are doing something creative, but Elise is actively pursuing a singing career as she should. She got the symbol tattooed on her shoulder, and I'm like, I did that. But gosh, man, this year was my last year at that school before I moved to New Orleans, and every year I'd let them do their own thing. They picked the songs. I said, this year we're doing what I want to do, but they embraced it. And Kenya used to be kind of picked on by this other drummer, and she was real shy and all that. And I'm like, well, we're gonna end this with the glamorous life, and you're taking it, the drum solo. And she murdered it. Oh my goodness, she just absolutely slaughtered this. But all of them did. But what I would do, which I probably shouldn't have done, but who cares, is I would live stream some of the rehearsals. And so Eddie M starts, chiming in. Zena, started chiming in, and we tried to get Sheila to come to the show, but she was unable. But Zena came. Eddie M came and really encouraged these kids, and it was a full circle moment. It absolutely was a full circle moment, because those kids are, they know about this genius of an artist, this important figure. I never liked James Brown skits. I hated that Dave Chappelle's Rick James thing was the introduction to Rick James for a lot of people. I don't like Medea, and I'm getting to a point here. The reason is these are important, and I don't like I didn't like skits about the booty out pants for that to be the introduction to these are important people. This is important. It's important music. You can look at this or that, and you can trace it right back to somebody who had to really bust the doors open. It is mockery. LTK says makes a mockery in a way. The Medea character. I had a Medea, Mother Dear. She wasn't a buffoon. She wasn't crass. You know what I mean? She was a figure to be respected. So. It was definitely a full circle moment. See how you asked me a short question and I give you a long answer?
Yeah,
that's
man,
what I do.
Hey, brother.
You right at home, then, brother. You right at home.
Hey, man, go
Hey,
back.
wait a minute. Hold on a second.
You're showing off now.
Let me see if I can get this chord. I should tune this instrument.
Wow.
For all those, for all y'all who don't know, Ted used to do these videos. Like he did this sometime this nose in April, like he just did. He did a breakdown of the Sexy MF, like guitar bass solo, but he played it on bass years ago. And then when he got, I don't know, he woke up one day and got brand new one and said, "Hey man, look, I'm about to take all this stuff down. So like, you better get it while you can."
You got brand. Sometimes the snows in April is still up. And okay. I recorded that. I'm like, I'm gonna arrange this for bass guitar. And then it was shortly after Prince passed, and I was in this place with no heat, and I was like crying about that.
So we have one last question, and then you can either stay or go, or it'll be up to you. So one of the questions is, who is your favorite bass player outside of the Prince camp?
Oh man. I would maybe say Michelle.
Mm.
I'd say Michelle. Michelle's got that you know. That's the stuff I like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Tay, let me ask you.
Just real quick, Ricky. I just want to say,
ahead.
if anyone hasn't listened to the James Baldwin project that Michelle has as her latest project, you need to listen to it. And if you can see her live, she was touring for a while. I saw her twice for that project. It's really incredible. And Chris Bruce, who has a lot of Prince connections, recorded with Wendy and Lisa, Dora Bramhall, also is with Michelle often in the band. Go ahead, Ricky.
Oh, I was just going to ask Ted. I know you said growing up, you know, you weren't kind of a fan of the hometown music scene, but you spent a lot of years playing with Zig from the Meters. Did I guess what made you come full circle? I know with that moment with or is like the Meters just the part that you just identify with most, or kind of just latched on to?
Man, there's some stuff it's just like it's like anything you do when you go back home. You know what I'm saying? Anything you do when you go back home, you just like, oh, this is just something that I naturally do. You know what I mean? There's some things, you know, it's like things that are caught and not taught. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you just go back home. But then when you talk about a full circle moment, I'm gonna give you another. I swear I'm gonna give you another long answer for a short question. The first 5 years of my life were spent on a military installation or several military installations overseas because my father was in the Air Force. And then my parents split up. Both my parents born and raised in New Orleans. So my mom naturally brought me back to New Orleans. I was going to school right across the street from my house. And I had some cousins that lived next door. And this is 5th grade. So we're in this circle, right? And one of the first songs that I remember this music teacher teaching was, went on down to the Audubon Zoo and they all asked for you. The monkey asked, the donkey's asked, and the elephant asked me to. Well, that's Meters, right? And not only did I become a middle school, a K through 12 music teacher, but one day I'm on stage with Zig, and he used to do this thing called Funkify Your Kids, where kids would come out and we would do all these funk jams, you know, and we played that. And I was also a music teacher at the time, and I'm a little sensitive, so I'm like, I got to turn around and maybe do like that because it's, you know, it is all full circle, you know. So it's just like going home. Yeah.
Very dope, brother. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on. I'm gonna dump off and because I got some admin stuff that I need to do, but I will have the rest of this conversation playing in the background. So I really want to say thank you guys for.
Before you jump out, I'm trying to get my geographic bearings. Mm-hmm. How close is Magazine to Trumay?
You know, New Orleans ain't but 10 minutes long. Miles, I couldn't tell you, but it's not that far.
Yeah, because
Magazine is more uptown.
Magazine is where in the mid 90s, that's where New Orleans was the first place my poetry and short stories dropped off. And so Ebony Square Magazine was a joint I used to hang out. And then I used to hang out at the community bookstore on North Broad under the tutelage of Columbia Salon. So
give me you gotta, because we need to talk about this Winfield connection, the Southern connection.
I'm gonna give it to Rick. I'm gonna give my information to Rick, and Rick gonna give it to you.
Yeah, I need that. And also I want to thank everybody. There's some really kind folks, and as Prince people typically are. So I really want to thank everybody who's like really said some very kind things in the comments. So I'm going to be watching. Thank you so much, you guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Yes,
right.
and Mila says you got to come back. Not you don't have to come back every Saturday, but you have an open invitation to join us. It's the same link. We're using that perpetual link, so anytime you want to hop on, you can hop on whenever you like.
I appreciate that. Hey, y'all have the best of days, okay?
Take care, brother.
Hey, Ted, peace, brother.
All right, so I am going to go all the way back to the American Music Awards. Let me because there's this Post article, but before I do, actually, I want to show this one photo that I found from the crowd in New Orleans, which I thought was really great. You see someone that has on like it almost looks like a members only jacket, but with the metal, I call them metal spikes. I think it was really, really interesting. All right, so let me actually rewind and get to where I need to go, because we skipped over the Austin, Texas show, and we got to talk about that, but we will end at 3:00. Yes, that guy did look like Bobby Z, Chris Bournet, for sure. All right, so I want to follow up with John Bream in terms of after the American Music Awards. And again, this is Star Tribune. And so out of the 10, Prince captures 3 awards in primetime television debut. Last week,
outrageous.
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous. Last week, President Reagan celebrated his re-election with a televised inauguration and a series of parties. Last night, Prince, our local boy made good. I always cringe when I kind of read that, because he said this a couple of times, but that's just me. Celebrated his coronation as the music world's king of the moment by winning 3 American Music Awards in a nationally televised broadcast. He won Favorite Black Music Single, When Doves Cry, and Favorite Black Music and Pop Rock Albums, and award in each category for Purple Rain. The choices were determined by a poll of 20,000 record buyers from across the country. Prince and his band, The Revolution, also performed for the first time on primetime television, offering Purple Rain. It may have been the biggest moment in the 26-year-old Minneapolis-born and based star's young career. His father and parents of members of The Revolution came to the Shrine Auditorium from the Twin Cities. Despite the significance of the occasion, Prince was his usual mysterious and tight-lipped self. I'm going to skip a couple. Unlike Reagan, Prince did not allow any photo opportunities for the press. In fact, unlike other participants in last night's 3-hour program, he refused to come backstage and meet the media. However, other recording artists had a lot to say about the new crowned king. Said LaToya Jackson, Michael Jackson's sister, who recorded a Prince song a few years ago. Somebody in the chat, tell me what is that LaToya Jackson cover? We should know. He's very talented. I liked him years ago. That's really interesting that she says, I liked him years ago. And then Smokey Robinson said, he's always done marvelous music, with whom Prince was compared in his early years. Speaking about Smokey Robinson, he's getting his just desserts now. He has his interpretation of things, his arrangements, rhythms, and musical feelings. His music is real. It comes from the heart, said John Oates of Hall & Oates. And I respect people who stay home and work from there. Al Jarreau, who had to leave the Twin Cities to find stardom in Los Angeles. I did not know that. Did you know that, Liegh, that Al Jarreau was from the Twin Cities?
I did not.
Yeah,
me neither. Yeah, it's new for me.
And said Prince's success was an important step for the Midwest. Not everyone can do it. He made it work. He's new, innovative, not afraid to dare, and a very musical cat. That sounds like Al Jarreau.
Yep.
Cyndi Lauper sang a Prince song, When You Were Mine, during last night's show. And she says, I saw an opportunity to say something with that song that reflected something in real life. We see, yes. So I see Chris Bournet got Private Joy. We got a lot of folks that got Private Joy, which is one of my favorite Prince songs of all time. And
shout out to all the girls named Joy back in the day. I used to sing that too.
Yeah.
This just for you, baby. Just for you.
Yes.
Hey, all the girls named Joy, I know, you know what I'm saying? Okay, the ones in Birmingham, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know who I'm talking about.
And Tanja, I have totally forgot about this, that Rebe actually covered I Feel For You. So yes, and Chris Bournet had that as well. And Kim is saying now it makes sense why P used Al Jarreau's vocal coach, which I did not know. So Kim, you're schooling me. Thank you so much. And Chris is saying, I thought Al Jarreau was from Milwaukee, and we got 2 of those, but that's what John Bream wrote in this article. So, okay. Observe Lionel Richie. Lionel, the music business has always been known to be slightly rebellious. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Prince is the new wave, the trendsetter. Prince may be the trend-setting king of the moment, but Lionel was a big winner of the American Music Awards with 6 prizes.
Outrageous.
He took them for favorite Black and pop rock video artists, Black and pop rock video, Hello. Is it me? You okay? And pop rock vocalist. I hated that song. Okay, Richie, who doubled as the show's host, was beside himself after the program. I can't believe it. I was concentrating, trying to make the show flow properly, and my awards, they weren't in the script. It's hard to read cue cards when your eyes are full of water. This is a real milestone for me. Besides Richie and Prince, Kenny Rogers was the only artist to win more than 2 awards. He won Favorite Country Male Vocalist, Country Album, Eyes That See in the Dark, and Country Single, Islands in the Stream with Dolly Parton. Everybody should know that song.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't act like you weren't watching this, listening to that song back in the day. Don't be fronting. That was the jam. We was jamming it. All right, go ahead.
No, we were not jamming it, but I heard it like relentlessly of Islands in the Stream. And I one reason why I'm actually reading this Kenny Rogers paragraph, for those of you who remember, that Prince wrote a song that Kenny Rogers covered, and it's on the originals, because I always got to do a shout out for originals volume 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. But Kenny Rogers was hot. It's just you guys didn't, in case you didn't know.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. All right, let's move on.
All right. And this was the 2nd straight year that he and Parton won with that song. This was the 2nd straight year that he and Parton won with that song, which is crazy, which was on the charts for more than a year, and thus was eligible in 1984 and 85. We're talking about Islands in the Stream. Mm-hmm. I was all set to clap for someone else, and they called my name, and I was clapping, he said backstage. It doesn't get routine. All these awards are exciting. Among the other multiple winners was Tina Turner. Rest in peace. I love Tina Turner, who was honored as favorite Black music female video artist, Black music female vocalist. Other double winners were Lopper, favorite pop rock female video artist and pop rock female vocalist, the Pointer Sisters, favorite Black group and Black video group, and Anne Murray. I don't remember Anne Murray, a favorite country female video artist and country video, A Little Good News. Yep. I think it was time for me, said Tina Turner, who enjoyed a huge comeback in 1984 after more than 2 decades in the business. It took the right producers and manager. Now, I'm not going to read this, but in the slide deck, you can see like the pop rock awards and the country awards and everything that in the Black charts, if you want to look at that later. And again, this is on the website, bookclub.polysolid.com, all the way at the bottom if you want to look at the slides later, because we're going to definitely run out of time this week for sure.
Can I quick real-time question?
Sure.
So now, like I said, I was on punishment, so I didn't get to see the AMAs or the Grammys in real time. Oh, by the way, my mama was such a hater because she didn't like Prince. But immediately after the performance, and she had me like I had the TV in my room to watch. My mother immediately stuck her head in the door and was like, "That little skinny pervert is kind of talented, huh?" And closed the damn door to rub salt in my wounds that she watched the damn performance. So Claudette was on one the whole thing. Now, here's my question. Here's my real-time question. In real time, we knew Lionel was hot, so we're not gonna sit here and fake the funk.
Oh yeah, he was hot in fish grease.
Yeah, a lot of people. But in real time, were you surprised that he got more awards than Prince in real time based on how hot each person was. You know, Lionel had the kind of Commodores thing. You know, we learned later because we're all teens then. We also learned later that award shows are kind of also lifetime achievement awards because you might not get them when you're young, but if you stick around long enough, they kind of make up for it. But we didn't know that in real time. So my question to y'all two and people in the chat, in real time, how surprised, if you were surprised, I wasn't so much. Monica, I can tell you, Monica and I didn't know each other at the time. Monica's still pissed off about that outrageous. So, like I'm saying it now because I'm not gonna go downstairs and say it when I get out because she still gets pissed off when she hears outrageous. How surprised were y'all that it went down like that?
Well, first of all,
first.
Yeah, first of all, Celie, you have to remember that my very first concert was the Commodores.
Okay.
With my mom. That wasn't my chosen concert, but she was on a date, so she took me along. And growing up, and my uncle went to Tuskegee Institute, which was what it was called at that time. So I knew all about the Commodores. And so I, even as a little person, because I'm only 14 now in 1985.
Right.
Like I knew what a force the Commodores was, and Lionel was what I call pop, like pop.
Right.
And so because going back to Prince at this particular time was just coming into his popness because he had been so underground underdog for so long. I was disappointed, but I understood, as Chris Rock would say. If you saw that, I don't know if you remember that special where he said, "But I understand."
Right.
So I understood. Obviously, I wanted Prince to win them all because I thought he deserved to win them all because he had been working his butt off. But at the same time, I mean, Lionel was hosting the thing, you know. So it was like, of course, I was really duh. So that's my response, Ricky.
Well, I'm gonna take the low road. I was surprised. I wasn't going for none of that. Because at that time I didn't understand the politics of it then like I do now. You know, at that time, I think Prince was probably a better representative of the youth culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it as the adults or the older culture kind of hating on the younger culture by not letting them win so many awards because from like July to January, there was nobody hotter. Like he was supernova hot. He was, I mean, and he had like it was 3 top movies that summer: Gremlins, Ghostbusters, and Purple Rain.
Yep.
And you know, I just remember, you know, kids in school like, hey, man, you know, like for those kids who were like who like didn't see Purple Rain, it was like, what man, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? And it just kind of like kept going and going and going. Like it went from the summer to the fall to now wintertime. And Lionel Richie, you know, he was hot earlier said 84, but I think from July to like January, he was nowhere near Prince's stratosphere in terms of like popularity and things. And you know, I even then, like I just remember like wanting Prince to win, and I remember being kind of mad that he did a ballad when he performed. Like I wanted him to do like a up tempo song to like show the world like I'm the dude and I'm this. And I was like, why is he doing Purple Rain? I was just like, I mean, even now I'm still like, I don't get like, why didn't you just do like Take Me With You, but do the live version like you had, or do like Computer Blue minus that little part, you know, with him and Wendy type deal. But you know, like do something other than a ballad. And I think you know, I just remember like wanting him to win, and I remember some of those categories, and I just was like, he lost this one. I was like, oh, come on, man, like you know, it's you know, our brothers get. And I mean, you watch. I mean, it's some bull. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know, throwing stuff at the TV, and then, like, you know, like one of the things I remember before I could operate the VCR like very well was like every commercial. Like, it's like before every commercial break. And coming up next, Prince and the Revolution, and you
Right.
just
Yes,
wait,
Right.
yes.
and then it'll be like some like Waylon Jennings or somebody, and then coming up next after the commercial break. After about 50 of those, you know what I'm saying? It gets to it, and then you're like, great, they're coming on, they're gonna do up tempo song, and you hear the opening chorus of Purple Rain, you're just like, oh, it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? But yeah,
I
that's
was with you. I'm so glad, Ricky, that you're on because I'm glad you jogged my memory. I was so disappointed that he played Purple Rain just because it is slow tempo. And I was like, baby, I'm a star, you know, like do the baby, I'm a like, but why Purple Rain? So yeah, I was totally with you for that for sure.
And I'll just add, in retrospect, what always struck me was the I hope I'm getting this album right. The song that doesn't get any love from that Lionel Richie album, which to me is the best damn song on there, is Penny Lover. Like, particularly the outro of Penny Lover and the riffing of that, which has nothing to do with them. I just always think about a song like Penny Lover, and probably because Penny Lover was the less pop song on that record. Penny Lover probably leaned more towards soul than just about anything on that record. That's neither here nor there. I was just curious to see how many people were actually. Like I said, I was upset, but I was surprised because I'm glad you hit it, Brother Wyatt. From July to January, that's like Prince he just beat up the summer, and he beat up the fall. And if you go back to spring, well, we say in July, but when Dove's Cry came out in the spring. So if you go back to the spring when Dove's Cry comes out, and then the movie comes out in the summer, and then what goes into the fall, I remember, like I said, I didn't get to watch it, but I remember the next day at school, and everybody was talking about, man, Lionel Richie this. I just remember because and when y'all got it that night, I didn't get it to that day at school. And I was deflated the whole damn day. Like I was almost depressed at school that he only got 3. All right, I'll shut up.
I just want to go. I just really quick. I just want to highlight this comment from Big Sexy, and I just want to say hello, Big Sexy. Thanks for tuning in. And Big Sexy said Prince was saving it for the Grammys because he blew the Baby I'm a Star because he blew that out.
And you right, Big Sexy. And in all ways, I got to say to Big Sexy, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. One day, baby, you and me, just me and you, Big Sexy, gonna talk about the whitest black man ever, Dusty Rhodes, American Dream. All right, that's it.
All right, Ricky, go ahead. So sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I remember, Celie, like, to your point, I don't remember like anybody our age group at that time, like day after the music awards, like, man, I really got to get that Lionel Richie record. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was like,
you're right,
like nobody was, like nobody. I mean, it. I mean, again, it just felt like, okay, like that may be cool, like on the award show, but for the kids and for the people, for the streets, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we knew the Purple Yoda was the guy, you know what I'm saying? And it just felt like, like they were kind of, going against him.
Yeah, that they were dismissing him. Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're not reading anything from Duane's book this week, unfortunately, just because of time. I wanted to. So again, this is your homework. So you got to read about Austin, Texas. Yes, that's right. Hold on, Celie. Let me put you there. There you go. Yes.
Make sure you get the little orange signal to make sure you got the extra 50 pages. So get the little orange decal to get the extra 50 pages. All right, let's move on.
All right. And I love this comment from Chris Bournet about Lionel was very safe adult contemporary. The choir at my Catholic school did all night long at a school concert that year. They probably wouldn't be doing Darling Nikki, that's for sure. All right. So we're going to move forward. And this is one of the tickets. And I love the Austin, Texas tickets at the University of Texas because you get to see the little cattle on the right side, like with the little longhorn kind of thing. That was cute. And then there's another night of Austin, Texas, January. So it was basically Tuesday, Wednesday, January 29th and 30th. You have to read about it in Duane's book. And then you can see the cattle a little bit better in this January 30th ticket, but then you can see like the outline of like this Western building marquee kind of thing and this other ticket, but it's so hard to, it took me forever to find the date on that ticket. So it's, in terms of design, it needs a little help. So here's some photos from David Selig from the Austin, Texas shows. I don't know which night. And again, sporting Lewis and Vaughn. So I'm gonna flip through these. You know, he's about to do one of his James Brown microphone moves right there, or he's coming back up from one. And then obviously you have my favorite guitar, which is not the Cloud. And I love when Prince smiles. So I wanted to show that. And love, he's getting into his guitar solo there. Love this black and white image. And love when he has the hat on. We all know what's being performed right now. If you don't know, that's When Doves Cry. He's got the hat on. And
17 days.
17 days. And then he got taking the shirt off, got the pearls going on. So
that's the only thing that's wrong with that Live from Purple Rain VHS is the split screen. I hated that damn split screen with the dove toys. I was like, well, and I know it came from the concert because it was broadcast on MTV.
Yeah.
And I was like, when the VHS came out, I was like, okay, we ain't gonna have to build that damn split screen when the VHS came. Here come the damn split screen. So anyway, yeah, that's also why the Atlanta bootleg is my favorite Prince Purple Rain bootleg, because I get to see When Doves Cry without that damn split screen. All right, let's move on.
I love the split screen.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So when you trying to tell me that when you first saw it, your initial response was, I can't see a damn thing. If that wasn't your first.
No, I was like this. So you have to understand, Celie, like I was a visual designer first, a graphic designer. I drew, so like the visual was really cool. You know, I thought it was extremely cool for me.
Okay, I just couldn't see nothing. I like, what's going on? I see one arm and one leg, and I see the mirror. What is happening? Like, am I not supposed to be able to see it? If this my mama punish me again, so I didn't get to go to the concert, and now I can't see it on the thing. Okay, I'm sorry. That's my pain. You know, that's my trauma. You're right, product. That's my trauma. Let me move on.
So I just really quickly, we want to wish Tanja a happy belated birthday, January 29th. I'm so bad. I'm really bad with birthday. Well, I'm just bad with dates. So we just
shout out to the Soul Aquarian birthday people.
Yeah. And Chris Bournet is with you, Celie. Chris hated the split screen. It was already dark on stage, and it was hard to see what was going on.
I'm like, I can't see.
Man Ray 10 is with you. And Man Ray says, to this day,
Thank you. And you know, to this day, like I always watch the Atlanta show first, and then when I watch that one, every time he would come with this split screen boys. Even now. All right, let's move on.
Okay. I think it's the coolest. I love this photo. It's a weird photo, but just seeing Prince jump up in the air and Wendy with her power guitar stance. I bet
you that's delirious.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. So actually we don't. So this is just about She's Always in My Hair edit, and you can read about it in the book because we're slim on time. And we're going to skip this too, but this is an article that talks about some people who attended the Austin show, so you can read it on your own. And then we already went through this when Ted was on, but I do want to read a little bit about For the Tears in Your Eyes with our time. So Celie, do you mind going to page 39?
Ooh, thank God I can take these off. I couldn't see nothing the whole show. Oh, it's bright in here. Damn, is this that true light I got hanging on? It's bright as hell in here. I had to have them shades on. What page?
39.
39. Let me. 37, 39, February 85.
Yep, you got it.
Friday, February 1.
Yep.
All right, For the Tears in Your Eyes, version 1, tracking overdubs mix, Louisiana Superdome, New Orleans. That is so cool that this was done in Louisiana Superdome. All right, New Orleans, Louisiana, the mobile studios. Sound check, producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Susan Rogers. Venue, Louisiana Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana. Capacity 60,000, sold out. The quote is by Prince. I talked to the people who were doing USA for Africa, and they said it was cool if I gave up a song for the album, which was the best for both of us. I think I'm strongest in a situation where I'm surrounded by people I know. It's better that I did it that way. End quote. Big head ass Bob Geldof was on to somebody tripping. Let's move on. The press may have been turning on Prince, but as a performer, he was practically untouchable. He sold out the Superdome, a sports stadium that held 60,000 screaming Prince fans. It was the largest venue of his career at that point, and an accomplishment that would take years for him to duplicate. And even then, he would rarely do it as a main performer. Quote, this was an astonishing moment for me, Susan Rogers reflected in awe. I was on the side as the band was taking the stage and was hit by the sound of 60,000 people. I have never heard anything like that before. Prince and the stage looked so small in a place of that size. It was great just to realize what this guy had accomplished. I'm looking at Prince like, wow, you are the guy I go work for every day, end quote. Susan's vantage point was one perspective, but actually being on stage 20 feet from Prince was unlike anything Lisa had ever experienced. This is Lisa, quote, we played the Superdome. Prince had them turn the house lights on because he wanted to see the crowd. That was totally insane. And the screaming was so loud, our ears were distorting. It was like the Beatles because I can't hear anything, end quote. Before the concert, Prince ran the band through a long sound check that included A Love Bizarre, Erotic City, James Brown's Body Heat, Eric Leeds is still rolling his eyes, Flying the Family Stones, You Caught Me Smiling Again, Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock, Free, Strange Relationship, Let's Go Crazy, and introduced a new song to the band that he'd written and reportedly demoed on guitar the previous day in his New Orleans hotel, For the Tears in Your Eyes. He taught it to the band, one person at a time, with Wendy and then Lisa, who used a harpsichord patch on her Yamaha DX7 keyboard. She even playfully performed the theme from The Monsters at one point while they were learning it. And eventually everyone, including Bobby, on the Simmons SDSV electric drum pads, the song came together fairly quickly. Prince even had them try adding a flute tone on the track. Quote, we had the mobile truck at the sound check, and Prince taught For the Tears in Your Eyes to the band, remembers Rogers. As soon as the show was over, he and I took the tapes and went into the mobile truck and did what we normally would do after a show that we had recorded and listened to those tapes. And we put up the tape for the Tears in Your Eyes, and we worked on it all through the night, end quote. Just want to add, they put up the tape. That's extra physical effort. I need people to understand, when no digital, when no punch, you had to put up the tape. All right, let's move on. At various times during the recordings, the acoustic guitar was not unlike the guitar on the Talking Heads version of Psycho Killer from their 1984 concert film, Stop Making Sense. Excellent concert. Prince apparently wasn't happy with the way the track sounded after the session with the band and decided to create one that was unfiltered. As he reworked the song, the harpsichord elements would be removed. Status: For the Tears in Your Eyes, 3 minutes and 25 seconds was re-recorded and released on the We Are the World album on April 12, 1985. It was tracked once more in June with Wendy and Lisa during the creation of the music video. The session was released in 1993 on the hits, the B-side. That version was tracked. Okay. For the Tears in Your Eyes, as recorded with the Revolution, remains unreleased. I did not recognize that the version on the video is a different version than on the album. I did not. And probably because I only bought the We Are the World album for the Prince. Let me be clear. I'm not gonna front. I actually like the song "We Are the World," so I'm not gonna be one of the people. I liked it in real time. I like it now. I know I'm in the minority with a lot of people. it was a cool thing. I'm not mad that Prince didn't. And be honest, I thought it was kind of cool that he didn't participate, but that didn't. I could do those two things separately in my mind, right? I was cool. Prince didn't. I don't know why. I just did. And so yeah, just realizing reading this that the video version and what's on the album is a different. So now I got to go dig out that damn album and see what's different in that album. All right,
hey man, and look, kudos to you, brother, for buying that album because I was on the fence about it, and then I got word that a new Prince album was coming in April. And so that money that I would have spent on that album, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna spend that. I never got around to getting it. I never, that's probably one of the few songs that I used when I would tape eras that I didn't include in my Around the World in a Day era on the tape because I didn't have it. And I remember seeing the video. I think I may have had it, but I don't remember. Like even now, I don't think I own a copy or like a bootleg of it, or like it's not none of my bootleg or zip files or anything like that. So,
well,
I will just say this: that's at that point, my father's politics were rubbing off on me, and I'm probably sure that I bought the album as much for the purpose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like that, I looked at when I bought it and I looked on the back and saw all that. I ain't wanted to hear them other people. Like it was We Are the World and the Prince song. But it was, I will say that, to be honest, it was because my father's politics was wearing off on me. I'll shut up. All right, go ahead, Prop.
So I actually never liked the We Are the World song. I still don't to this day, but I bought the album because there was a Prince song on there, and not on the album B-sides, that wasn't technically a B-side, but it was considered a B-side for me, so I had to have it. But also I did want to support the cause, but my number one reason was to get that Prince song.
So let me ask you just one question. Again, I'm just because we were the same age and whatnot. So not even the Ray Charles, James Ingram back and forth moment. Really?
I don't like this. I mean, this kind of goes back to everything goes back to Arms of Orion.
Okay.
And also,
my goodness,
there you go. Like that, I wasn't even expecting that. I was like, wow, that's okay. That's hard. That's below the belt right there. Take this Arms of Orion.
Okay, so Ted was on earlier.
Pulling Arms of Orion right now. Just
there you go.
Put it there.
There you go.
So Ted was on earlier, and he talked about funk. Right, I was raised in a house of funk and rock.
Right,
and I'm talking about Led Zeppelin, The Doors. So I like my BPMs high. Okay. You understand? Okay. And like I never like what I call saccharine, sugary. Like just, and it's sing-songy, even though I like to talk and sing, I guess, but it was just.
There you go, Blade Brown. All the ride wouldn't bother nobody. Like all the ride, just like, what the hell? What is that? Thank you, Blade Brown. Thank you. All the ride is like, ain't bothering nobody.
Oh my God. So I just never liked songs like that. Another song that I like better than We Are the World, which is similar, but I still cringe whenever I hear it, is That's What Friends Are For, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's the same song in my opinion.
Hey, harmonica get you on That's What Friends Are For. Once you hear that harmonica, you're hooked. You're hooked.
I feel you said D'Angelo, because I mean,
Ted agrees with me.
Oh, come on, brother Ted. Come on, brother Ted. Don't be like that, baby.
I got
arms around.
I got the purpose for the We Are the World thing, but I hate it. Like, I'm sure every graduation, like moving on ceremony from middle school on up spring 85 song, like We Are the World. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, kids were singing it. So it was certainly like for the moment, but yes, I feel you, man. I mean, especially 85. Like I was really into to like the Minneapolis sound funk stuff. Like I, like that's where I was. And like D'Angelo said, I wasn't mad that Prince didn't participate. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't like really disappointed. I was like, okay, cool, bet he did do it. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping that the song that he contributed would have been a bit more upbeat in tempo.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, see, that's just like, like that's what I wanted. Like D'Angelo, I just wanted that, like that grease and that, you know what I'm saying? Like I wanted that thump. So, man.
I would just say, and this is not me backstacking from Arms of Orion. I really do actually like Arms of Orion, but I will say what allowed me to play Arms, because I had the 45. And so I like Arms of Orion, and I think that what helped me also is that on the other side is I Love You and Me. Is that no? Yeah, is it Love You and Me the B-side? Yeah.
Yeah, for Arms of Orion. Yep.
So as a, I was young. I'm what that's 89, so I'm 19. So I'm trying to come into my poetic voice. And so I just like the slick language with I Love You and Me. So yeah. But I get what all those things, and get to the BMPs and get to the movement and get to that. Band-Aid, do they know it's Christmas time? Yeah.
See, to your point about Arms of Orion, I will say this since Ted is back.
Ted can't take it. He had to come back on screen.
Right, listen, I got stuff to do, and
look at that damn thing. He took his what he got to do.
Listen, I don't even have, before I had I've been eating like potato chips, and I was cleaning and trying to do. I called it admin stuff, but that shit is some of the and I heard it and I said, what is this shit? What is this? This is garbage.
It's celestial, brother. It's celestial.
Listen, and I'm gonna explain something to you right now. Listen to me. Y'all look at me, and if you say that you didn't have this, you lie. But everybody had a mixtape. Everybody had one of them cassettes. You understand what I'm talking about? When you thought you was about to
slow jam tape.
I was gonna call it the booty mixtape, but let's call it the slow jam. And so I'm putting my little thing together, and like, hey man, if you own this song and you ain't got the second bass, you're doing something wrong. And I'm putting together my 89? I'm putting together my 89 mixtape.
89. Summer 89.
I said, I don't like this. This is garbage. I can't do nothing with this. So I just wanted, I was listening. I told y'all I was going to be listening. I'm trying to do my thing. And I heard that.
Yes.
I'm going to let y'all go, but that.
I will say this. Somewhere in the vault is a Prince and just piano version doing Arms of Orion. He's probably doing it justice.
And they need to stay right there in the vault. It needs to stay right there in the vault. It need to stay right there in the vault. Now, see, I Love You and Me. Ooh, yeah. I said, oh, this going on the mixtape. But yo,
I promised myself not to comment, just she does. And
baby,
she took
let me just show you.
And a liar I said, oh, this
baby, you got to, hey, you got to hear this. You know, and when back then you think everything come out of your mouth is smooth, but then when you listen to it back, you're like, I can't believe I ever said a thing like that. Y'all have that Arms of Orion. I'm with you. The song is garbage. Love you, Prince. I'm like Eddie Murphy now.
So Ted,
wait a minute. Blade Brown.
Don't make me come back in here.
Well, you know, put up Blade Brown. Because I was out there by myself. And y'all all came around the Jughead. Every one of y'all. After you saw the live Jughead, y'all all came around the Jughead. So I'm gonna stand
That is true.
Like I stood on Jughead.
That is true.
Wait a minute. Who had a problem with Jughead?
Oh, a lot of folks. Oh man, that was
the. So Ted, we do these. I told you we do these annual Prince symposia, and so we had a Diamonds and Pearls. We had a Diamonds and Pearls one, and Jughead was just getting pounced, like, And see, Liegh was like, wait a minute.
That's right. I stepped into the
Hey,
ball.
Jughead is dope, but see, that was a weird time because I feel like, and somebody may disagree with me, I don't care. Is that Prince felt like he was chasing trends at the time with the rap stuff, with so much of the rap stuff. You understand what I'm saying? But I liked it. No shade to Tony M, but you had, during that rap era, see, I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but during that rap era, you had your Snoop Dogg's, Dre,
Tribe Called Quest, Ice Cube.
Yeah, you had all that stuff. You had like people that was like really, really, really doing that, and this felt like so much of it felt like a stretch that he didn't have to take. But Arms of Orion is just, you know how when you smell something and it make you want to, you're like,
Ted, Ted, why don't you do a bass version of that for us? Ted, why don't you do a bass version of that for us?
Of what? Of Jughead?
Yeah. When Ted is on next
Arms
tour,
of Orion.
dude out there with Arms of Orion in the audience. I'm gonna have Arms of Orion card in the audience at his next show.
So Ted, you don't understand. I've actually gotten hate mail for my dislike of Arms of Orion. There's a lot of Prince fans, and I understand that might be your song, but it's not my song, because for me, it just sounds like a Disney song. It sounds like a song that was written for
it sounds like a Disney song. And I got a friend right now that I wish I could have. I wish that she was able to get on here right now and see this, because she just love that song. Oh man, if anybody says, well, is there a song that you don't like? It just comes out of my mouth like Arms of Orion. Arms of Orion. Of all the things, I'm gonna tell you what one of my favorite songs is, though. Ready? Weekend Funk, and I'm not talking about the one that came out. I'm not
the Bridge version.
The Graffiti Bridge version, but I really the Chocolate Box version.
Ah.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I ain't got time to play with y'all today. If somebody else say something else about something corny, I'm coming to your house. Okay? Put your address down in there. The song is garbage. I had to like stop what I was doing and come. Yeah, I got this. This is lunch right here. I was like,
I made that man stop doing his cleaning. Come on here and talk about it.
I got to come in here and order.
So Prop Duff,
Just how I got an ally.
I gonna say Prop Duff, you got your ally now.
I'm out of here, y'all.
Mad flags on the play.
Oh my God. This is so funny too. D68 says Weekend Funk, like which of the 9 versions? Right. He just oh my God. And yes, Michael Dean definitely missed out on this episode. So yes, for sure. All right. Ricky, did you want to say something? I feel like you were about to say something.
Oh, no, I said it already. You can go ahead.
All right. Okay. So Reggie, you missed it. You got to go back and watch. This is an episode that is not to be missed. So you need to go all the way back. So for sure. Okay. So let's try to get to the end because Kim, our timekeeper, has given us a 3:00 call, but we can go over for Arms of Orion for sure. All right. I just wanted to show this really quickly. We talked about this last week, but I just love seeing MTV's logo in case some of you hadn't, because we have a younger audience and you might have not seen the MTV. And this is like advertising that Sheila E. Romance 1600 show that we've been talking about every single week because it's so amazing because of a Love Bazaar. And so I'm going to skip all this because of time. And I want to say 2 things. If you haven't seen the new documentary, ladies and gentlemen, 50 years of Saturday Night Live music that was directed by Questlove, I highly recommend that you watch it if you love music. And obviously, Prince performed. We talked about this earlier on Saturday Night Live several times, the first being during the Dirty Mind era. So it's definitely Prince related. The second is Questlove is working it like a job because the Sly Stone documentary is coming out on February 13th on Hulu. And I love the title, Sly Lives, also known The Burden of Black Genius. And he has Black struck through, which I absolutely love as well. And I could tell from the trailer that he interviewed Andre 3000, and you know how much I love Andre. And really quickly, I want to give a very special shout out to Liegh Christian. I'm going to say this super fast. I'm glad I'm rushing this because I might break down talking about this, but 24/7 Spies is one of my favorite bands of all time. I was devastated to learn that he was killed on January 13th, 2025. He was the original lead singer. And I have some of their songs. It's definitely hard rock, but their first album was called Harder Than You, 1989. My favorite 24/7 Spies record is the second one, 1990's Gumbo Millennium. And then Pete actually came back for Temporarily Disconnected in 1995. This is actually their first promo pic, so you can see Jimmy Hazel and P. Fluid, who passed Anthony Johnson, who's one of my favorite drummers. Absolutely loved when he left. He actually went to the Dow, if you know about the Dow, with Peter and Vanessa Dow, was amazing. And one of my favorite bass players, Rick Skater. And then I love that the New York Times actually wrote a really great article about P. Fluid. His real name was Peter Forrest. He didn't deserve to be killed and die that way in the Bronx. He was born and raised in the Bronx, lived in the Bronx. 24/7 Spies, they represent the Bronx. And just really, 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 really sad. And 24/7 Spies actually performed, we talked about this last year, at Sony Hall in August the 27th. And it was just Jimmy Hazel and Rick. But I really wanted, at that time, I was like, it would be so amazing if P. Fluid would have shown up. And I really wish that he would have, because it would have probably been the last time we would have been able to see him perform. But those performances, I put them in the accompanying playlist and also put some of the 24/7 Spies songs in there. And I don't have a 24/7 Spies t-shirt, so I wore my Fishbone t-shirt because I often saw double and triple bills with 24/7 Spies and Fishbone. And whenever I think of one, I think of the other. And Follow For Now is one of my favorite local bands from the ATL. They often used to play together. And yeah, so P. Fluid will be missed. And if you don't know about 24/7 and you're into rock, it is so amazing. It's going to be such a great journey because they were genre hop. It wasn't just rock. They would infuse jazz and funk and all sorts of stuff. And again, we want to give a very special thanks to Ted for coming on not once, but twice. And definitely check out his amazing YouTube channel at TED Talks Bass. And in the accompanying playlist, we have one of his videos about Prince's bass playing. We already talked about Mohini. I love seeing this photo of Bilal that was posted after his tiny desk. I just love when Bilal is happy because, you know, Bilal can be moody. So
look at the shirt. Look at the shirt.
Yeah.
Go back. Look at the shirt.
But this is, I'm glad you saw that because this is another reason why I put it in, C. Liegh, because I wanted you to see that.
Yeah, that guy's a Jackson State grad. He took over after the first kind of creator organizer. Yeah. So if you love Tiny Desk, part of the genius behind Tiny Desk is a Jackson State University graduate. D.I. Love. All right, I'll shut up.
D.I. Love. So I actually put that in for me and you, C. Liegh. I'm glad you got it. I'm going so fast. I was like, C. Liegh got to see this photo. And if you haven't seen Bilal's Tiny Desk, what you waiting for? You need to do it. And then this was, I think we call this like the living room. This is the living room performance, and this is the front porch performance, which is my preference. So watch the front porch version. And we're going to give love to Jeremiah while he is, fighting the good fight. And if you haven't, just reach out to him, say hello, contribute to his GoFundMe. And then unfortunately, we have 2 purple people going through cancer right now, which is insane to think about. And if you haven't, definitely reach out to Troy Gua. He has given us so much happiness through Le Petit Prince that we want to show him love back while he goes through this. So definitely reach out to both of them. And this is what's in the accompanying playlist. So you can see D68A has the Austin show live, as well as the sound check for the American Music Awards. But what he doesn't have, and I hope that I don't know if he's still here, if D68A is still here, I would love for you to upload the New Orleans sound check, because that is incredible. And it also shows who Prince is as a musical director, since we talked about that earlier, because he was not happy with the sound at the Superdome. And so if you want to hear Prince in boss mode, that is definitely one of the sound checks that you should listen to. So hopefully D68A will put the rehearsal up if he has it. And then you can see there's some live shows from Mohini Day. I have some trailers for the Questlove Saturday Night Live music doc, as well as the Sly Stone doc, as well as some 24/7 Spies music live and recorded, and a video for P. Fluid. And I want to give love and prayers to all in LA. And I want to say thank you so much for staying here for over 3 hours today. For all of you who are still in the chat, we still so appreciate you. And we want to send love and prayers to all out in LA, still dealing with the aftermath of all the fires. And I want to end with this quote from one of my favorite 24/7 Spy songs from the first album, which is Harder Than You. And the name of the song is Grandma Dynamite. And the lyrics go, my grandma is dynamite, taught me everything I need to know about life. So I hope that you'll listen to that if you don't listen to anything else in the accompanying playlist. And remember a man that gave so much to music. And yes, peace.